So this is what we'll do. We'll take exactly 1 hour to discuss recommendation system design. And after that, we'll pick up one good system. And you remember for IRCTC, we did one exercise that you guys loved, that we took one big system and then we saw that, okay, which all design patterns can you apply in this system? How would you do it? Right? Similarly, we'll pick up one more system, which will be a system like NoBroker. And we'll discuss that, okay, what design patterns can we use and how can we use it? And that discussion, I want you guys to be answering. I will not be answering anything. But first hour, we'll be doing the recommendation system. We'll start with requirements. We'll do it properly. I have written the code. I have made the UML. Everything is up on GitHub. But I want it to be a very discussion based because this is a very different kind of system. Why I have picked it is because so it is not like Swiggy, Zomato, or Uber, Ola, or Amazon that a customer uses. Who uses recommendation system? Can someone tell me who will be the user of recommendation system?
System itself, right?
So you guys, YouTube, Netflix, Google, right? So basically there will be other modules of one big system, and this will be one module that will be taking care of recommendation, correct? So you could be designing, say, recommendation system for YouTube, for Netflix, for Google, for anything else, say for Instagram. So this is different. Why? Because it will be used by another module instead of having a user like as such, right? So that is why I thought we should cover one such system also. Makes sense? Yes, everyone, it makes sense? Yep. Okay, so if we talk about recommendation system, and suppose you are in an interview and it is given to you, okay, what questions would you ask? What questions would you ask?
Who is going to use this recommendation system?
Actually, what the recommendation should recommend, like what is the thing that is to be recommended?
Correct. So first thing we discussed, who is the actor? We already said that there will be some modules who will be using this system, right? Other modules, say you are designing for Netflix or say for Insta. Okay. Next thing you said, what will be recommending? For example, so this is how I am telling you, you know what, you will read some data, say from files. You will read data from files. And based on some context, you will have some information, right? You will be recommending something. Now it can be, say, for example, recommending movies or recommending Insta post, or it can be anything. So you have to design this accordingly. Does it make sense? Hello.
Kirti, I did not get this. Read data from files. What is this saying?
So basically you have some, say for example, a user is scrolling through Netflix or is using Instagram, right? So user's data is going to be there, suppose in some history or whatever actions the user took, that and all you're supposed logging it to a file, say log file, or some data is there, like based on whatever is happening in this file. So you basically have to load it to a file, and maybe you will have a recommendation engine where you will feed it. And depending on that, you will recommend some things. Make sense?
So this data is basically user data?
You can think of it. Yes, user data.
User interacting with the system.
Sorry?
This is a machine learning model?
Yep.
So are we like training it every week or something? I don't know.
So you have to think of the classes part. I know you are an MLAI person, so you will have better answers. But we are not going to go into the details of MLAI. I am asking how would you structure your classes? You can black box the MLAI part, right? But as someone who doesn't know MLAI, suppose I am interviewing and I have no idea about MLAI, okay? How would I handle such a question?
Kirti, one question, like how you are going to recommend, like is it like what actions he is doing or what is it?
So would anyone like to try that? How would you recommend?
So we can say that we have multiple recommendation algorithms and we can choose them based upon what admin wants to use, right, at a time. So that is what I'll consider while I'm designing the system.
But one question
Like
shouldn't be
what?
what type of data is, have to be saved.
Yeah.
So in an interview, it doesn't matter, but in a real system, it would actually matter.
So actually, it should be like question like what are the requirements of a recommendation system?
Correct.
So if suppose the requirement is like suppose you are saying for a Netflix system, I have to recommend movies to a particular people. So what I will do is I will use the interaction of many users and give it as
Yeah.
a input to a recommendation system so that he can recommend based on the input he has already received from the other users. Something like that.
Basically, we have to define the input to the model.
Yes, correct. So actually, the in real systems recommendation will have a lot of data to input. Like it will take input from a lot of log files. Means basically how users are interacting with the system.
Okay, so yeah, I know. So that is why we are covering the system. We all can go blank in a system that we have never heard of. That is why we covered Zerodha also yesterday. Suppose we have never heard of Zerodha, how would we deal with it? We would focus on buying and selling the order, correct? Suppose you have no idea about how recommendation system is working. You have no idea about AI ML. How would you handle it in an interview? Give it a try at least.
So one doubt here, how come this actor becomes the modules? The actor becomes the user, right?
So user has already taken some actions and we have some data in the file. Now our module is the one who needs the recommended, if we recommend something, the user wants, suppose there is a module, say feed, suppose Netflix feed or Insta feed. And that is using a recommendation system and it is going to get, okay, this is the recommended movie. You can think of it like that. Make sense?
I think firstly we'll need some kind of class or adapter to like convert the data into the format that the model needs, right?
So where are you going to start? Like, okay, so let's say
I would start with the data class, like first define a data class and basically have some attributes in it. It will be a complex object, so we would need a builder to build the data, and then have a data manager which basically puts the data, sets the data, does all the CRUD operations. Maybe we can build from that.
Is it okay if we say that we can ask that what will be the input and expected output for the system?
Let's actually jot down the requirements first, right? What is the
Yeah.
system supposed to do?
Okay.
Yes.
So you guys tell me, what should I write?
So input is all the user data.
The first question would be, should we support a single type of input or we are supporting multiple type of inputs to our recommendation system?
What do you mean types?
So your input could be a byte stream, it could be a text file, it could be a PDF file per se, right? Anything.
So say for example, I can give you data in JSON, in XML, I can give you data in any format. So yes, you can have multiple forms of data. So you have to handle that as well.
Then I think similarly, we can also ask that in what form is the output expected?
Okay. So say I am saying so this is your input. Okay. And your output, say I am saying you can trap it in a class and you can give it to me. Like you can give me, say, recommended
movie ID, right?
You can give me some strings or something like that.
So as a module, what we can do is we can pass him a user ID, and I want for this particular user what kind of recommended movies I will get.
Makes sense.
Is it correct?
Now,
okay. So in our system, so we have a system, we have this data as input, we have JSON, XML. Now for a system, if we look at our main, how is our main going to look? Okay. So in our main, we will have our recommendation system. And suppose this is like going to be a facade, right? So our module will know, okay, there is one system, right? We will say, okay, I'm calling it RS. I'm going to say RS start. That you start, you take data, you load data, whatever you want to do. And second thing I will do is recommend data for a particular user. And then I will pass user ID. And what will I return from here? I will return, say, some strings or vector of strings, which will be, say, movie ID or Insta post ID or something like that. Make sense?
we could discuss the different types of recommendation that the system can provide, right? So that we can have concrete recommendations based on the strategy that we choose. Instead of the admin deciding what strategy he should use, it should be on the user that how he wants the system to recommend it. Like, if I'm making sense.
Okay, we can. So basically, that is a decision that we have to take, that who will decide that which algorithm has to be run, right?
Yeah.
Our admin
Yeah, it
decides,
can
or
be
maybe
based
user
on
can
like I
configure.
want. Yeah, it can be based on user input or admin. We should ask that first, I think.
Let's say we can design for, I don't think it's a very major change, but okay, suppose we can do from configuration or we can do from admin side. So configuration meaning when user changes it, user will change the configuration or admin will change the configuration. So there is some configuration where we'll decide which strategy has to be used. Make sense?
Yep. Are we having multiple recommendation systems for a single input format, or we are having a single recommendation system for a single input format?
What do you guys think? How should it be?
So it depends, right? So I'd say that we should give the scope of having multiple recommendation systems. We may or may not have multiple recommendation systems. That would depend upon how the code is evolving.
Okay. Let me give you some idea over here. So we can have input data in say JSON, XML, or some other format, right? Now what I would do is I would convert this into some one format, right? And I would have my engine, which expects data in this format, correct? So I would, whatever format is coming, I will have one engine who will be doing the recommendation part and all of that. I will convert the data and I will give it to engine. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Does it make sense to everyone? Like anyone who is getting overwhelmed, getting confused, anything?
Kirti, is part of
Oh my God, the chocolate भी हो गया?
API implementation a part of LLD? Like how to design an API?
How to design an API?
No, I don't think so.
It is
Basically,
like how will you be implementing the code is part of LLD, not how would your API look like. No, not all of that.
Okay.
Maybe API at function level would be
Because
okay.
I mean, in the previous page, you were discussing about the input and output, right?
So that is what I'm
That could
talking
be
about,
the
how my
recommendation.
function is going to look like. So if my client is, so basically my client is my module, right? So if my module is using it, what data am I giving? What output am I supposed to get? So this is like from main part, you are thinking like whenever you think we discuss, right? You will talk about what is there in the main, what are we supposed to support? Depending on that, we'll make our classes.
Okay. And generally the APIs in a company, are they given by architects or okay?
Because there are multiple teams, right? So they will do the high level architecture and they will tell you, okay, this is the input, this is the output, and then internally how you do things that you have to decide. So similar to this, right? So suppose we are the recommendation system team. You will be given a user ID and we'll just do in the start, you have to start your system and then we'll give you user ID, you give us back this. Now, how you do it inside is up to you.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, Naveen is asking, can you elaborate on the main part over here? So I'm just going to do that. So see, whoever is going to use our module, the recommendation system, first thing the person will say, okay, I'm going to use you now. You can load all the data that you have. You start, basically. You start. How you load data, what you do inside is not my problem, but you start. Second thing that the person is saying is, now for this user, just give me the recommended data. That is it. So this is all that I am going to know from my main perspective, from my user perspective. Now we have to take care of this. We have to take the input data, we have to process it, we have to give it to the engine and then give back the recommended data. Make sense?
So again, in that case,
Yeah, I may be wrong here, but can we take this as a requirement? Like, will our recommendation engine take into consideration the real-time data also, and how often the data will be loaded in the engine?
I don't think that is something that we have to worry about. See, what is our main crux over here? We should be able to design one entire flow. Is it like we have to take input, how the input is coming? That should not be our main focus right now, correct?
Kirti, just one question. So in a real interview, once we have spent like 10 minutes about asking the interviewer what the design system is about, should we again probe him to basically add more complexity in our own design?
See,
Yeah.
you mentioned that these are the things we can do. These are the primary requirements. These are the secondary requirements, right? For example, in this, what is the primary requirement? We should be able to recommend. What is the secondary requirement? We should be able to do, say, some pre-processing. We should be able to support different strategies, take it from configuration, maybe take user information. What exactly will we recommend? We'll go back into details. Like, for example, once we have recommended, we want to take feedback that was the recommendation good or not, right? These can be some secondary requirements, but first we have to finish one flow. You can quickly mention secondary requirements, but you have to be always sure what is the primary requirement that you are designing your system for.
Here, I think I would like to add one thing. For the specifically the question which Paras asked, it is that, yeah, you can ask question to interviewers, or you can ask for their opinion and stuff. That's okay. But also you have to like navigate the interview in such a way that you don't make your life much harder than it should be in an interview, because the interviewer is always open to give you more challenges as he wants. But you have to make the interview in such a way that you complete at least one thing to show off your skills. Then after that, you can have as much time, like as much free stuff as you need with the interview. But first you need to show that, okay, you have done something valuable, right? So in that way, I think you need to navigate in such a way that you don't make your life harder.
Exactly. See, what might happen is because every system can be so broad that I say, if I am asked Swiggy, Zomato, I can keep asking the requirements itself for 1 hour, correct? But if I do that, I am basically interviewer will keep answering the questions that I ask. Might or might not say, why don't you get to coding now? Why don't you write the UML diagram now? If the interviewer is like, okay, let the candidate drive the interviewer will never say, you are losing on your time, like you need to start coding. It is the candidate's responsibility to make sure, okay, I have talked about the requirements for 10 to 15 minutes. It is high time that I start talking about the classes. It is high time I start talking about the code. Make sense?
Yes.
Cool. Okay, let's draw a few classes at least. Let's get started. So what is the first class that I should draw?
The main recommendation system.
Facade.
The facade. Okay, recommendation system. Okay, it is too big. I'm just going to call it RS. Okay, RS, and the two functions are going to be there. One is going to be start and one is going to be recommend. And we are going to pass user ID, right? Now what should happen? Okay, now the request will come to this. What should happen after that?
What does actually start do? Sorry. What does start do here? So it will start the
system. It will probably load the data and whatever it wants to do. I'll say, okay, now I'm loading you. I'm going to start using the system now.
Okay.
Basically, like you can think of it like connecting with the system or saying, you need to start working.
So we'll have two request processors. One would be recommend, one would be start. Then we'll have an init module or an init class.
We can use the we need to encapsulate every request as an object because we need to store it. So we can use the command design pattern because we need every request to be encapsulated so that we can use an adapter then for our preprocessor to fetch the relevant fields and pass it to the data processor and eventually the data base.
Okay, don't forget that right now our input is just a user ID. The request is this is the user ID, you give me the recommended data.
Okay, so the request doesn't have the data.
No, so the data is in input. So for example, just to give you
From
guys.
the user ID, we have some map data, right? Something like that.
So we will have, say, a user profile or user manager or whatever you want to call it. It will have user data. So for user ID, it will have a map with corresponding data that you need.
So this action that he's currently doing, we need to log that also, right? Because that is essentially our data that we are creating, right?
This
interaction.
This, like you are saying, ki this recommendation that you are asking for is also an action.
Yeah.
After recommendation, you can log it, but that is after completing the flow, right? For now,
Yes,
you
yes,
want
correct.
to see on the previous data.
No, also it's like so you have recommended something, but user clicks on particular movie. Suppose he watches something, then he goes on to watch something else. So that is actually our user input to the recommended
Yeah.
system.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we can use strategy design pattern, first of all, I think, to select what strategy we want. For example, let's say if we design, sorry, if we are in the same Wi-Fi, let's say, and I am watching a particular post, Instagram post, then somebody who is using within that same Wi-Fi will also get that recommendation.
Zonal split.
So probably that could be
It
one
could be
particular
one could be
strategy.
region based, one could be popularity based. Yes.
Yeah, region based.
We can ensemble also, right?
Sorry.
We can like combine the
Yeah.
recommendation.
Yes.
Ensemble.
But for now, let's say, okay, there are different strategies. We can have different strategies. Okay. So yes, we can use a strategy manager. Who will use the strategy? Like, so which class?
Aris?
Sorry. This Arish should directly talk to the strategy here.
Yeah,
No,
so
no,
there
no.
should be a director, right?
Request process.
Say I can have a recommender.
Yeah, you have to set the strategy there.
And recommendation strategy will have a aggregation relationship.
So it will have aggregation or composition. What do you think?
Composition.
What does everyone think?
Composition.
Composition.
Because strategy can exist even without the this
So if there is
particular.
no recommender, do you want the recommendation strategy to exist without the recommender?
It will not be of any use.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Right.
Everyone
So-
agree?
We can go with composition.
Okay.
So we are using this strategy design pattern in recommendation, that is fine. But let's say if we have to combine these strategies, right? In that case, don't you think that decorator design pattern comes in help?
One
We can have
strategy on top of another strategy on top of another strategy. You say like that.
We can have composite strategy class, right? Something like that, which will have a list of strategies.
Right. See, we can discuss into that much level of detail, but let's complete one flow. Okay, basic strategy will we be able to support? Then we can discuss that if there are multiple strategies, maybe we can have composite strategy, or we can discuss some other design pattern that you guys suggest. Let's try to finish one flow first. Simple stuff. Again, the point is we are like in a mock interview. Don't try to make your life very hard.
Yeah, got it.
Okay.
Yes.
So basically, we will be having.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah. So what I was saying is basically we will be having different kind of data for that particular user. So we need to convert all the data to a similar kind of format which can be used.
Correct.
So we can have like a data loader class.
Correct. So this by the way, there will be a common function, the abstract method, which will be recommend, which will be there in all of these. So these strategies will be the one that will run the algorithm. I guess everyone can agree to that, right? Yes.
Yes.
Yep. Okay. So as you were saying, there should be one data loader, very fancy term that is used everywhere. So I will call it data ingester. It is nothing but data loader. You are ingesting in data. Okay. Now they can be different data ingesters. They can be JSON data ingester. And they can be XML data ingester. Make sense?
So are we talking, I have a question here. Ingestion would actually mean ingesting data into the system that is coming from outside, right? The data we are talking about is the context. And our context is actually the data that we already have in our DBs, let's say.
So basically, see, it is sort of the user actions that have been taken. So now suppose you've logged them to JSON or XML. It could be in your DB. From somewhere you're getting it, but you're getting it in different formats, say XML, JSON, like that.
So are you trying to say that I'll never do that, right? So I'll actually be smart here and say that the conversion part is something that I'm doing in the user flow. If you want me to talk about that, then I'll have a separate UML for that, because that is some data that is coming from another actor itself. And
You could do that. But if you see the requirements was you start and then you recommend data, and we already talked, okay, we are going to take the input and we are going to give the output. So
Okay.
we are talking of like the strategy and all, okay, we are going to get the output, but we discussed in the requirements that we are going to take the input, right?
Got it.
So that is why, yes.
For data ingester, can we have a factory pattern to
For creating different ingesters?
Yeah.
You could, but for different ingesters, for creating the ingester, you would want to use different. Yeah, you could.
Sure.
So maybe RS has a composite relationship with data ingester.
Yep. So the data ingester cannot exist without the recommendation system, right? Obviously, you should be able to ingest the data only when you have the recommendation system.
And to make the thing simpler, let's assume that data ingester is the data which we got in a compatible format. Like,
Yes. So data ingester, basically it read the data from path and then it converted to the data that we want. Yes.
We'll have some convert class, no? Something.
Which will be, say, read data from the path, and then from here inside, suppose for every
Here
this
you can have
itself,
like
you can have
adapter design or
convert.
something.
Read convert.
So one quick question here: data ingester and ingester shouldn't be in a composition relationship with the RS class, right? Because RS class is the facade itself. So what we discussed is that facade actually dedicates the work to the different classes and does not do the work itself, right?
It is not doing the work, it is delegating to data ingester.
So, I mean, facade should essentially, when I say recommend user ID, it should actually give it to something known as recommendation manager or something like that.
So that will do somewhere, output will be on top, right? So here, so you can think of it like our system is divided into, say, two subparts. One is like the input part, one is, say, the output part, correct? You can view it like this. So you can have two refined facades, but then do you really need them? Because what is going to happen here? I am just going to say key ingester. Okay, when I am loading it, I'm just going to say key what type of ingester it is, and then I'm going to load the data. And then in recommend, I'm going to use the output wala subpart, right?
The reason I'd say that I might need them, not in this system, I mean, not in an interview, but in a real system, is that I could, moving forward, have a validation for my data ingester.
Yes, you could give that reasoning and add it. For now, keeping it simple for interview.
Got it.
So it
but,
will be
we
association,
should
right? Recommended data ingester and RS.
Sorry, I can't hear you. What?
Data ingester and this RS should have association relationship.
See, we are saying ki why I'm saying composition is ki you should not be ingesting any data until you have a recommendation system, right? You are going to be ingesting the data into the system. So your entire life cycle of the ingester is dependent on the recommendation system. And I'm going to load the ingester when I start the system.
Do we have a feature engineering pipeline?
Okay, you are an AI ML expert. You would have to explain to all of us what do you even mean by that.
Kirti, one
That's
question.
Okay.
So
Will
to just answer that, right? Your feature pipeline would be inside your concrete classes. So you'd actually be having handlers for your concrete classes where you train, test, and all that stuff. That is what you mean by feature engineering, right? If I'm not wrong.
I
So-
just mean like maybe you get some raw data from JSON or whatever, but maybe you can combine this data to create some new features.
Yeah,
something
so that is not feature
So
actually, but yeah, it should
you
be in
need
data
some
ingester
kind of
itself.
pre-processing required
So
on the
it's,
data that you have.
We'll need to have a module called pre-processing or something like that.
Okay. So we will have, is that what you meant, Love and Tanmay? Some sort of pre-processing on the data that you have in easy terms?
Yeah.
You could say that, yeah. At this.
Okay. So let's keep it very easy. So basically what they are saying is once you have converted the data, you might want to do some pre-processing on it to give it to the recommendation engine, right? Okay, this guy has converted it to in a particular format, but maybe we want to do some further processing. So for that, maybe we can have another module, data pre-processing.
Ingester is just means loading the data, right?
Into a particular format, like in some format, but then we want
format.
Yes, into certain format, but then you want to send it to the recommendation engine and you want to pre-process it. Say, for example, I want to convert it into lowercase, or I want to do some simple filtering in that, right? So maybe I want to remove the next line. I know MLAI will be much more complex than that. I'm giving you example. Okay, so there is data.
Also,
So it is
I
basically
think
what
if
we
we
are
are
talking about is what we are talking about is it is a kind of adapter where we will be having some input data, and that we will as our output data will be one kind which we will provide to the input to the strategy.
You can say in that way, but okay, I'll tell you my thought process. I am okay with your thought process also. What my thought process was, ki they can be different levels of pre-processing that you might want to do. Like for example, I might want to do say something X ABC on my data, and then suppose depending on the data that I have, maybe I want to do another pre-processing, maybe I want to do another pre-processing. So I was thinking more in that sense rather than just one conversion and then sending it to recommendation engine. What do you think? Matlab, it is also okay. I am not saying ki yours is wrong. I'm just giving you my thought process. What do you all think?
Are you suggesting having different type of pre-processing for different types of strategies so that we have different type of data for the strategy? Because I was thinking that direction.
You could have
Since for different types of
different
strategies, we'll have different types of training, right? So we'll require the data pre-processing to be different for them.
that is something that they are going to do inside the strategy only, no? So over here, like if you see, so when we send ki recommend, they can do the processing on the data and they can do it, right? So if there's something
Then
specific
there's
to strategy,
no, like, if what I got from him feature engineering, he meant to weigh more give more weightage to some features depending upon what type of data we need. So if we are making a different module for it, we should basically divide the data accordingly. Like if I am getting what he meant, the person who asked that question. So I don't think it meant like cleaning the data. It was specifically feature engineering. So I was thinking on that direction, like designing data differently for different strategies.
see, I guess
The thing is that working pre-processing the input data. So there also if you think about a real-time system, you'd have to do a lot of things there, right? You need to pre-process it based upon the model you're feeding it to. Then you'll have different type of pre-processing strategies to see what sort of output are you having here. Then when you talk about feature engineering, you'll do 10 other things there. So all these things that we're doing are actually is actually something that is related to a model. And if I'm not wrong,
we will be
here,
going into that detail. Yeah,
yeah, if you're talking, yeah, right,
Yep.
exactly.
So most people are already mentioning it in the chat. Let's keep it very simple. We have talked about data ingester. Okay, let's think, okay, there will be some data preprocessor or they might not be. Let's black box this for now. Let's finish this wala part and then we can look at the code and discuss more in detail. So, okay, suppose I get the recommend wala thing. So on start, we discussed, okay, we will load our data ingester. Maybe we will pre-process it or maybe we will not pre-process it. When the request recommend comes, okay, so the recommend request has come to the recommendation system. What are we going to do next?
So basically, in the start, we'll be instantiating all the constructor. For example, one for data ingester and one for data preprocessor. Yeah.
What about this poor recommender? Why is no one talking about that?
I have a question.
Yeah, for that also we can create an instance, but that will be a part of recommend function, right? In that function, we are going to use that.
Since we
but
have
then
data ingester as a part of RS only, recommender strategy will also be in a composite relationship with RS. And let RS do all the work here, right?
So when RS gets the request, it can say, okay, on the start, okay, I will load ingester, preprocessor and all that. When the recommend request comes, I'm going to load the recommender and maybe send the request to the recommender. And then it will probably decide the strategy and recommend, or it will probably let someone else decide the strategy and run the strategy. But for now, let's say the recommender itself is deciding the strategy. Let's keep it simple. Does it make sense?
I have a question here, right? So doing this, aren't we violating SRP? So RS is actually responsible for two things here, right? First thing is identify which sort of request it is, right? Start or recommend, whatever. And then it is also, I mean, having the responsibility of completing those requests and giving them back.
Not complete. It is just delegating the work
So
to.
delegation is a responsibility, right?
So like that, so you will obviously. So
But then again, then everything is not following SRP.
Again, SR back to basics, back to first week. SRP is subjective. It depends on what we mean, right? Your point is correct. In real systems, we can have refined facades. I know Tanmay really wants to have refined facades. Let's keep things simple right now. Let's say that this guy will, delegate the responsibility. You can have two different refined facades also. For now, let's keep it simple. Okay.
Actually, in real system, when people design, people don't think that much.
Sorry?
I'm saying when people actually design real systems, actual developers, they will do like this. They won't even think about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Kitty, I have a question. Shouldn't we have a relationship between the data and user ID so that like we can recommend per user? So some manager or mapping between a particular data and
RS
user
can
ID.
have an association with user manager, right?
Yes, this type is.
This is association.
Yes, this is association.
Okay.
And maybe you have a wrapper class, say recommendation, and maybe you have, say, some context inside this and some maybe strings inside this that this guy is recommending and going to return, or maybe you can just return string itself. I'm just saying you can probably have a wrapper. More or less, I think we are all on the same page. So let me show you the UML that I made. I am so proud that from the discussion, we ended up making the same thing that I had actually made. So let me show you my UML and my code.
Can you explain the association relationship between recommendation system and user profile?
Who's going to
I'm not
explain
getting.
it? Yes, who's going to explain it?
Can do that.
So yeah, I'll go.
Go ahead.
Okay. So in the recommendation, okay, Tanmay, you are going.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So in this recommendation system, right, when we are fetching the recommendation per user, in that we will be having the user ID. From that user ID, we might need user object, and that user object might be having the history of, like the commands which we were discussing initially, like what was the likes, dislikes, and like in history, what he has watched and all the logs things like a log manager and user profile. So basically, in order to fetch a user object, we'll be using a user manager, which is containing a map. Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, so that user manager should be there, right? Instead of directly.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
user
Instead of a
manager.
profile, they will be a user manager. I've just created a simple user profile, but yes, there should be a manager. But this we have done in a lot of systems, right? So I do not want to repeat it. We have done in almost every system, no, that there will be a manager, there will be ID corresponding to that. You can get the object. We have done it in all the systems so far, correct? And every file will have, say, age, name, region, view history. So maybe gender, you want to see on the basis of region, gender, all of this you want to add interaction. Then there will be one user profile manager. And so basically this recommendation system will be talking to user profile manager instead of user profile. Cool. Okay, let's look at the UML that I made. Yes. Hello, everyone awake? Last class, please stay awake today.
Yes, Kirti, yes.
Yep, thank you. Okay, so we started with recommendation system, which is our facade. I said 2 APIs, okay, and then there is recommender. Then I have also added one more thing, which is the feedback controller, and I can show you the code also accordingly in the recommendation system. So if you see, there are 4 things. There are data ingester, preprocessor, recommender. So you can see one by one. So these 2 are basically the start part things, data ingester and preprocessor. Then there is recommender and feedback collector. What is feedback collector? Basically, after recommending, I'm just taking the feedback key, do you like it? Was it correct recommendation or not? And I will send the feedback back into the system. Simple stuff. Okay. Make sense? So when the recommendation system is initialized, I'm going to create my recommendation engine, my feedback controller, and my filters, basically my preprocessors. Okay, they can be multiple preprocessors. Now here, my recommender basically is a recommendation engine. And can you guys Identify the design pattern that I've used over here. This data preprocessor. Look at the
Yep.
UML.
Yep, this one looks like strategy here.
Is it strategy?
Decorator or that some other design pattern which was having a has and is a relationship, right?
Some other design pattern, it seems, guys.
Decorator.
Chain of responsibility.
Now you guys say all the names of
Composite
all the
design.
19 design patterns. Will be one of them.
Actually, only two have this like Haza and also Isa, right?
So which two are?
Not one.
And
One is
chain of
decorator.
responsibility where we are using set next processor.
Chain of responsibility.
It's a composite design pattern.
Yeah.
Why composite? Why would I use composite?
It has next processor, I think.
Chain of responsibility.
Chain of responsibility, yeah.
Guys, next processor. Come on.
The data
Literally
pipeline.
feeding it to you.
Iterator, right?
Chain of
No, it's chain of
Chain of
responsibility. It has the next one.
responsibility.
Chain of responsibility.
Literally an ML pipeline. Yeah.
Okay, so how many of you think chain of responsibility? How many of you think decorator?
Yeah, chain of responsibility.
Everyone agree?
Chain of responsibility.
Okay, I'm not saying that this is the correct design. This is how I have done. If you guys have any inputs, keep sharing. Okay. So for now, what I've done, there's recommendation system. Now there are 4 subsystems. So basically there's data ingester, there's data preprocessor, there's recommendation engine, and there's feedback collector. Now I know Tanmay is going to go like, there's so much work to do in this facade. Okay, we can have refined facades. Don't kill me for that. But for now, I've kept it very simple because 4 subsystems, right? So recommendation system, there is data ingester. Now there can be different data ingesters. There is JSON data ingester, XML data ingester. Everywhere follow ISP, create interface, right? OCP, I can add new ingesters also. DIP, focusing on interfaces, back to basics. Don't forget your basics, okay? Then after ingesting the data, I come to my pre-processing. I've used chain of responsibility. Why have I used chain of responsibility? Because there can be multiple preprocessors and I can decide which preprocess after one preprocessing, do I need another preprocessing? That was my thought process. I am not an expert in MLAI. This might not be the correct design, but that is what I thought that, at any point, I might want to decide that what is the next level of preprocessing that is going to happen. So if you see actually, so I initially created this filter. Okay, so this was my first preprocessor. If you go inside this and if you see the preprocess part, so I am going to show you. You can see that I've created the next preprocessor as the next filter that removes stop words or something like that. So basically, I have created 2 preprocessors. I've created one, and then inside this, I'm deciding that which will be my next preprocessor. So that is why chain of responsibility. Don't forget your basics. There is has-a and is-a together. Okay. After, so first thing was data ingester. Second thing was data preprocessor. Third thing is data engine, which is basically my recommender. It has a strategy and it is the one that is setting the strategy. Again, you can have a different class that can set up the strategy. You can probably even use factory or builder to create the strategy, right? Because you might want to decide your strategy based on some particular information. You might want to choose some particular filters or based on the user profile that you have. So you can use factory or builder or any other creational design pattern for creating the strategy. For now, I've kept it simple and I'm creating like one strategy only inside recommendation system. Does it make sense?
Okay.
Builder to create strategy. Yes, correct, Paris. I am talking about creating the strategy. So you could use a creational design pattern for creating the strategy. While discussing strategy design pattern, we had discussed that we can combine it with, say, factory or factory or builder to create the strategy, right? Yeah.
I'm thinking, what do you mean create a strategy? Because these are trained models, right?
Okay, again, the MLAI expert talks. Right now, it is just a class that is running some algorithm for us.
I can answer that. Create a strategy would be like using, so you
particular
have 3
model.
running models, right? And you're transitioning to a 4th one that is your new model, and you want to open the 4th model in beta, and you also want to run your 3rd model as your main model, right? Then how do you do that? You actually instantiate an object and load the model there.
Yeah, but why do you need a builder for that? I think that'll be too complex.
If
And
I'm creating the
Not
model,
really, right?
if you're
So
creating the model,
yeah,
then you might want to do, right? That you're creating the connection to the model. You can think of it like that.
matlab, I don't think you need a builder. It's like too overkill.
Then factory.
Yeah.
I said factory or builder. I'm not saying to use one. I'm just saying maybe you want to use one of those to create that, strategy / model, whatever you're using. Okay. Then there was feedback collector, which is just collecting one random thing that I wanted to add. Okay. I could see a bunch of questions. Naveen is saying what is being moved through COR over here. So basically, yes, Paris answered sequential preprocessing, simplifying the data. Any doubts on the UML? Can we look at the code?
Kirti, I had a question. So there are essentially two flows here, right? One is actually generating the recommendations. And the second part is when the user is actually using that application, we need to have those recommendations fetched and presented to the user. So on these lines, I wanted to understand from the UML diagram itself. So the trigger for generating the recommendations
is the recommend for user. And the start one is to load. So basically ingest and prepare, pre-process. So if you look at the code, so if you look at my main, okay, so there are basically two things that are happening, right? So once my recommendation system is there, there's start and then there's recommend for user, right? So in start, what is happening? Let's see. In start, basically I've created the ingester, I've loaded the data and I've pre-processed the data.
Okay, got
In
it.
the recommendation part, so think of it like this. So in my start, this part will be invoked. Okay.
Yeah.
Versus in my recommend, this part will be invoked.
Okay.
Make sense?
Okay, got it.
Okay. So in the
Kirti, can you please go back to the UML? So in the recommend part, when we want to fetch the recommendations, it would already be generated and we just need to fetch the recommendations based on some filter. That is what you have mentioned as the strategy here, right?
So recommendation, like the algorithm or the model is being run inside this class, basically.
So this essentially should have been run in the generation of recommendations itself, right? So the other path where we are displaying or fetching the recommendations, should it be just about getting the recommendations based on some filter?
So this is where the question comes, do you want to have live data or not? Okay, if you want to have live data, then you would want to actually run the strategy and get the recommended data at that time. Or if it is pre-processed and kept, then you would want to pre-process and keep the recommended data for every user probably when you're loading itself.
Okay. So currently,
That's
what is the approach that we have taken? We
Currently,
did the
what I've done is
pre-process.
when the request comes, then I am setting the strategy and generating the recommendations.
Got it.
Okay.
So one question here, like as per the interview, right? So we have designed the entire flow of how recommendation will come as the output, right? Now let's say interviewer said that he wants to get to know about the flow, like when the user does something, how will the recommendation will be feeded into the system, right? That part also. So like that would be too much for an interview, like to code and all, right? So how should we tackle that?
So we obviously can't code, but in terms of classes, I guess you should be able to answer what exactly will happen. Can anyone try? Give it a try.
So can we tell him that after code we can discuss that if the time permits, or like
Yes,
should
yes,
we?
yes. Yep, you can. You have to manage your interview. So you can, and always see in interview, always leave last 5 to 10 minutes for any follow-up questions. Going back to your requirements, what will happen in the first 5-10 minutes? You must have written down the requirements, correct? Sometimes what happens in the next 40 minutes, you end up being so lost in the UML in the code, and that you end up forgetting that what were your major requirements. Maybe there was something that you would have thought, I will discuss this. Like, for example, you must have thought, you did not write strategy and you thought, okay, I will mention strategy, and then you forgot. When you will go back to your requirements, you will check it again. You will be able to remember, oh, I thought of this. I will just quickly mention it. Always save last 5 to 10 minutes to come back. And most of the interviewers also do that. They ask you also, okay, we are, the time is about to get over. Do you have any final things that you would like to add? Always go back to your requirements, revise that, okay, what all things you need to see to be able to be sure. Okay. Okay, I'm just looking at the chat. Tanmay, so sweet.
So after coding also we can change the UML, right? So for example, in code we mentioned some other function, but in the UML on the high level view, we didn't mention that. We can change that.
Yep, you can. See, there are a lot of things that you will not be able to code. So you'll have to, and this, like right now, I am drawing like proper composition and all of this. You won't have the time. So you can just write over there, okay, composition, aggregation, inheritance, like this, just mention. And even if you don't write it, it is fine. You can just mention it and you can ask, do you want me to write it or is it okay? Most of your interview will go like, yeah, it is fine. If you keep mentioning it on the flow, it is going to be good. Okay. Cool. So let's look at our one flow. So, someone had asked about the user flow. Who would like to give it a try? That what is going to happen if some user makes a change, and then what is going to happen on that? Would anyone like to give a try?
Change as in user change as in?
User takes some action. User starts viewing a particular movie. What is going to change in our system? What is going to happen in our system?
Sorry, come again?
So in that case, yeah, go ahead.
User started watching a movie. We recommended, started watching a movie, took some action, right? So on higher level, basically whatever data is ingested for the next time should change because we have made some action, right? So someone asked, what exactly will happen if the interviewer asks this? So how would you answer this question?
So probably I will say, let's say that the user watched a movie or took action. So the data ingester will have new updated data to process, right? And then depending on the approach that we are taking in the data preprocessor, as we mentioned that we can either be taking a fixed strategy through which we are recommending, or we can be doing it in a way that, okay, if new data comes, you put a new preprocessor layer on top of it. So in that way, we are filtering more and more like refined recommendations, I will say. So data processor will be refining the recommendations and then giving that feed back to the recommendation system, right? Like that's what I think.
What I think is nothing should be happening, right? Because they're not talking. So our actors here is the system, not
log
the
should be
user.
created, right, Tanmay? Log should be created for the user. It should be
Nothing will.
actively sent.
So see, the
Yeah, I
request
think
is
per user
coming.
level we should be.
One by one.
Okay. I think whatever user does, right? It's a different flow. We're not talking about the user flow here. What we're talking about is request is coming from a module. For example, let's say your feed module, right? So if the question is that, okay, user did something ABC and feed module made a request again, I simply say that, okay, whatever user did, that data has been again rewritten into the file, and that is a different flow that is handling that, right? If I'm not designing for that system, I won't talk about that system or that actor actually. Sorry, not the system. I don't know if I'm right here.
Maybe if after the user watches something, if again recommendation is asked, then again we'll follow the entire flow. Data will be again ingested, pre-processed, and we'll get one more like a new recommendation, right?
Yeah, that I think the new data is the data engineering pipeline. So this is the inference pipeline.
Correct.
So those are different
So
pipelines.
basically, you can say that we are not designing that part of the system. But if you had to ask me about it, like this is how I would answer: that we are not designing that part of the system. But if you ask me, as Naveen is saying, that maybe there will be some observer design pattern where as soon as the user takes some action, a few classes are notified that okay, some action happened, right? So probably some data is going to get ingested into data ingester. But we are not talking about that flow. Maybe the data ingester will be notified and we can go ahead with that. Does that make sense? It's a decent way of handling the interview question.
I think the simple ways it should be the action is taken and it should again go to that flow. That it should go through the log file, and then model is taking care of it. And if after some time someone asks for the recommendation, it will depend on the model if it has a new recommendation or not. So I think that should be.
Yeah, or sometimes whenever there's some inference, it's automatically written in the S3 or some bucket.
Yep.
Yeah, that could also be the case here.
Cool. Okay, let's come back to our code quickly because it's more than 1 hour. Okay, so in our recommendation system, when we do start, my data ingester is just loading data. So if you see, I am actually being smart, and here I have just written basically output statements and nothing as such. Okay, so give me 1 second. So if you actually go inside my data ingester, if you look at this code over here, see there's just load data, correct? Now there are different data ingesters. So basically there is JSON data ingester and XML JSON data ingester. So I've just written output statement. Like you don't need to take care of everything. Obviously you're not going to talk about that much, right? That how is going to happen. You're going to black box all of that. And you're going to say XML data ingester, going to output this. And basically my code is running because when I run it, so you can see it, I actually ran it last. So you can see loading JSON file, loading JSON data, and you can show that if I am sending XML, I will be able to load XML data. I will load the file and then I will convert the file, probably pre-processing also. I can show it to you that if in this, so suppose here in my preprocessor, what is my preprocessor? I think it was lowercase, right? This is preprocessor. If I remove this, basically this second one should not happen, right? So you can basically demo that these are working. Basically your design patterns are working. Now see, only one preprocessing happened, multiple preprocessing did not happen. So I ended up demoing what? I ended up demoing the chain of responsibility design pattern. So when you demo something, see, like in your chess, someone was making fun of me, like Amit was making fun of me, that I only demoed that undo thing, right? And you all felt, oh, she's done something big, but actually nothing I was doing. I was just removing from the stack and I was just resetting the state. So when you actually show the demo, the interviewer feels like, oh, you have ended up doing something. So try to do that in an interview. Try to be smart. Even if you're not able to do everything, try to, black box things, add output statements, make it look like you have demoed something. It will give the sense of, the candidate achieved something, was able to show something, right? And especially suppose, sometimes it happens in interviews that your interview did not go that well, or maybe there are mixed reviews, they are not sure about it. Then sometimes a committee sits, like in Uber, in Google. I had this thing, in Google, there was a committee that sat and discussed, okay, how much code she wrote, what happened. In Uber, it happened, one of my interviewers really wanted to hire me, and one interviewer was not sure. So the other interview actually showed, see, she wrote this code, she ran it, she definitely deserves it. I want to hire her because I made it such that, they were able to show the code. They were able to show the UML. They were able to show that, okay, she deserves to be hired. So keep these things in mind, that in an interview, like after the interviewer goes back, also should be able to show what you did in the interview. Try to make it like that. Try to be smart during the interview. Okay, cool. Prateek is saying add as many loggers as possible. Output will be huge. Not like that also, don't end up wasting your time, but you get my point, I think. Now recommend for user does what? Set recommendation strategy. And here I'm just setting the recommendation strategy. I can again show that if I change this recommendation strategy, I can probably add a factory. I'll be able to use different recommendation strategy. That will also work, correct? And I have just collected some feedback also. In generate recommendations, what am I doing? I'm just telling the strategy that you recommend. And in the strategies, there are basically output statements, correct? So there is one collaborative strategy. You can say recommending the user according to the collaborative strategy, and that is the output. So if I change the strategy, you will be able to see different output. Okay, more or less, we are done with the system. Feeling okay, feeling confident, feeling good? Yep. And yes. Let's get to some more discussions, final few discussions of the course. Everyone awake? Okay, so officially all the curriculum that we discussed, like that was there on the site, we have covered everything. Plus we have covered state design pattern. We have covered, I think, more systems than we discussed, right? So let's try to pick up a few more things. There was one question that was asked yesterday on Discord. How would you design a message queue? If someone asked you, like, we'll just take 5 minutes to do that. How would you actually do message queue? I'm not going to draw anything, but would anyone like to try? Someone had asked this on Discord yesterday, so just wanted to pick it up. If someone gives you, how would you do message queue low-level system design? Hello.
Yeah, can do that. So we'll have, I mean, it's fairly simple to
Go on.
what we already did, right? I think we'll have a factory.
आवाज थोड़ी कम.
It's not audible.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. So I think we'll have a creational design pattern to create multiple level of factories. Then we'll have a facade. Then that facade will actually have, let's say, if you want, you can have refined facade, or that facade will actually be talking to the factories to create a request, and then we'll have request processors to process that request. These request processors could be retry, process once, process twice. And then I think we'll also be storing the state of the request, right? So we could use 2 to 3 design patterns here. One more thing that came into my mind was that since this request is something that we actually want to, encapsulate into command, we could also go with the command pattern. So that's the
Okay.
insight
Command
that I
is
have.
what Tanmay is suggesting. Any other major design pattern that you can think of when we think of message queue?
So I actually wanted to know here, so in terms of flow, this is all right, but as the expectation is that we are designing for a queue. So our LLD in its core, what should be the data structure? Is it like we are using a collection, Java collection as a queue, and that is what is holding all our objects? Or
See, it
should
can
we
be
think
that
more?
they have combined the DSA interview with this interview, right? So you should clarify with your interviewer, do you want me to implement the queue also, or is it okay if I use the, say, collection queue or STL queue? Mostly your interviewer is going to be like, it's okay, you can use the STL or the collection queue. I want to see how you structure your classes, right? But if the interview is combined with DSA, it could be a possibility that they want you to design the queue. Maybe you will use an array list and you will just allow that, okay, push from one end, pop from that one end, the basic DSA stuff, right? But mostly that is not going to happen. If they're asking you to design message queue, the point is that there is one subscriber, there are consumers. As soon as some message is sent from one subscriber, one subject, your consumers or your observables should be able to see that, okay, this has changed. One thing that can come up is that, for example, so if I have a message queue like this, right? So if I have a message queue, suppose I have, so there can be multiple subjects. Now, suppose there is one subject for, say, cricket match score. Okay. Now there are few observables who have, or consumers who have subscribed to this, right? Now, suppose there is another thing that is there for example, give me something else. For example, ads. And then
it follows publish subscriber model, right?
Yes.
So
yes.
simply हम publish करते हैं और everyone subscribe कर सकते हैं.
Yes, yes. This is basically message queue only, right?
तो mainly क्या होता है इसमें कि जैसे मैसेज क्यू हम यूज कर रहे हैं, लाइव स्ट्रीम में भी जैसे प्रॉब्लम आती है कोई भी, जैसे हम अपना प्रोजेक्ट कर रहे हैं, तो व्हाट हैपन लाइक जो भी एरर आ जा रहा है बैंकिंग डोमेन में, वो हम क्या करते हैं उसमें टॉपिक में डाल देते हैं. तो जो भी एरर नेक्स्ट डे होता है वो एक स्ट्रीमलाइंस में वो चलता है, तो नेक्स्ट डे सभी उसको पब्लिश हो जाता है कि ये प्रॉब्लम आ रही थी कल, तो उस पे आप काम करना शुरू कर दें. तो वो हम कंज्यूम करके तो वो हम वी विल फिक्स इट ऑन.
Exactly. So what he said was that there has to be a topic. That is what I meant. Ki suppose these people have subscribed to a particular topic, say cricket match score. So they should come to know that whenever cricket match score changes and someone has subscribed to, say, ads, which is another topic, they should be able to come to know that when an ad comes. Okay. So you have to maintain something like a topic. So on an upper level, what I would do is that they would be, say, one subject. Now I would again make this an interface. Now they can be, okay, they will be dotted, but you get the point. They can be concrete subjects. And you can have, say, a map inside this for every topic, not over here. So you can have like this over here itself. Maybe on your upper level.
What
Let
does
us
mean?
start.
What is the meaning of topic? Topic का मतलब क्या मतलब क्या समझ रहे हैं इस topic को?
Topic means that so he's asking what is topic. So topic means that I have subscribed to the score. I have subscribed to when is ad coming. What have I subscribed to? Like you could be using the queue for multiple subscriptions, right? Not just one subscription. So topic is nothing but you're saying ki exactly what information have you subscribed for? Have you subscribed that the elevator is moving up and down? Have you subscribed for ki is elevator opening, closing, like that? Get my point?
As per my understanding, topics means कि हम कुछ भी डाल दें, like right, it's an object, वो उसको as a pick कर लेगा, right?
But then it is not like there can be many observers. So maybe not all of them want to know the math score, right? So you want to see ki who all should be notified. So basically, if you see observer design pattern, what happens? In observer, we have three things. What are the three important functions that are there in observer?
Register,
subscribe, unsubscribe, and notify.
Notify.
Correct.
Notify.
Register and notify. Correct. So when we do register, basically which consumers are we registering and for what topic are we registering? Basically, what do they want to know? Correct. Yes. So basically, for what topic, which consumer are we registering? So basically, if you talk in terms of classes, they will be interface subject, then they will be concrete subjects. Similarly, they will be an interface consumer, they will be concrete consumers. And you can do.
When will message queue come into the picture for this?
When will message meaning?
Message queue. We are talking about the message queue earlier, na? That's why this topic started.
So we are designing the message queue. So
okay.
Yes. Yep. So this is
Yeah.
So you can use observer design pattern over here, and on an upper level you can do like this. Makes sense. You can also use command to go like to treat request as a command. You can do that as well, as someone had suggested. Just because someone had asked that how would you deal with such a question, so I've just covered it. Any specific question over here, or can we move ahead?
Kirti, we can use the existing collection queues, like if the interviewer wants us. So like it would be having a hazard relationship, or like we have our own class and we'll have a queue and we'll add it to the queue like a custom object.
Yep.
But here, the request will only be dequeued when it's basically received by the like whatever you're trying to send. So it needs to have a status. Otherwise, it will remain in the queue, and then again the subscriber would basically, if it's fetched, then it's removed from the queue. So it needs to have a state.
Yep. Okay, I'm not going into the details, but upper level, what will be the classes, what will be the objects, how would you deal with it? I think understood, right? Yes.
Yeah, Kirti, is there any possibility for a loss of a message, like if it does not reach the observer? Is it possible?
We are not talking about HLD. We are talking about LLD. If you send something to a class, it will reach over there.
Okay.
HLD, we are not talking about HLD. There is no network. We are not going to get, we are not going to lose anything over network over here.
Over HLD, you are going to use distributed systems, so forget about it.
Yep.
Yes, we are using today. Nowadays we are using the Kafka, right? Kafka and RapidMQ.
Yes. So in HLD, I actually covered the entire design of Kafka and RabbitMQ. So if you guys remember, for those who have attended HLD. But okay, let's come back. Okay. Last thing that I wanted to discuss before we finish our course. So there's another system that let's try to cover. NoBroker, everyone has heard of it. What is NoBroker? Everyone has heard of it. What does it NoBroker do?
A financial system.
We can rent apartments from there without any brokerage.
Buy, rent, sell apartments, or say flats, or say lands, or whatever, right? So yes. So this is your requirement. Quickly tell me, only in terms of design patterns, what all design patterns could you use? Let's start one by one. Factory, could you use factory?
Yes,
Yeah,
factory,
types of
abstract
houses.
factory.
Why? Where could we use factory?
So types of flats, houses. I mean, yeah. That's...
Yes. Okay. Where could you use, say, abstract factory? Factory or factory method? Okay, I'm not writing the entire thing. Where could you use abstract factory?
When we have space, like spaces, and spaces can be flats or duplex or like a little like that.
Okay. Okay.
Or
Any other?
basically a flat which is 2 BHK, 3 BHK, like that.
Okay, like that. So you want to have like all 2 BHKs, and now that can be, say, a flat or say a resort or something else like that.
Yeah.
BHK with 2 BHK with 2 parking.
With 2 parking or something like that, you can say. Okay, factory or factories, or maybe
What family of objects we are creating?
So you're saying basically 2 BHKs of either flats or duplexes like that.
So create 2 BHK flat, create 2 BHK. Okay, I don't know.
So maybe flats, maybe spaces. Spaces can be flats and duplexes, and flats can be 2 BHK, 3 BHK, and same for duplex.
Honestly, there's
factories are
going to be a lot more configuration. So I would rather go with decorator than abstract because there can be more levels, right? But okay, possibility. I'm not denying it. Payment is a good scenario. We have already discussed it. We have seen the code also. So I'm mentioning payment. Okay. After factory, we did abstract factory. What was the next one that we did, everyone?
Builder.
Okay. Can we use builder over here?
build houses.
Yeah.
Build houses. NoBroker doesn't build houses. Can we use anywhere else?
Yeah, building a contract. So steps for creating a contract would be same in all
Nice.
the 3 scenarios.
Yep. So you will be building similar contracts for, say, apartments or land or buying or selling or rent or something like that. Steps would be same. You would probably want to get a stamp. You might want to get a signature of buyer and of seller, or you would want to do something else. You might want to do some verifications, something, and then you will build the contract and all of that, right? So the steps.
Like we have similar functionality in buy, rent, and sell. So
Yep.
that's why we will,
Good example. Okay. After that, we
Oh,
did
building the listing, right? You have the photo and you have the details.
Sorry?
If you want to build the listing, like a new listing.
For new listing also you could do like that.
like in real life example, in my project, what happened, like we have model, there are 30 attributes are there. So we are building only 4, which is common in buy, rent, and sell. That is build, right? So after that we can use with the help of builder.build. This
Yep.
way we are using.
Yep. So we can do dot this, dot build, the chain.
Yes, ma'am. Like we have model, model has 30 attributes. We are using out of 30, we are using only 3 or 4 attributes. That's why we are using builder here.
Yep, we can. Correct. Okay. Coming to singleton. Where can we use singleton?
In real life example, when we are creating the connection with a DB layer or MySQL, then that's moment we are using the singleton design pattern.
Yep. DB instance, managers, loggers. I hope I don't have to talk about this. We have seen enough and more systems, correct? Singleton, builder. Okay, what else? Prototype.
Prototype.
Where can I use prototype?
Where like we
It
have
is similar
one
type of
builder is here,
prototype.
and it's another same builder has franchise in like Mumbai, another thing. That's why we are cloning, and same pamphlet we just distribute. That moment we are using the prototype.
Yeah,
Yep.
so in same lane, there are many houses and all of them are listed.
Like for a society or something like that, right? Shubha, Lodha, Prestige, all of that. Okay, cool. Okay. After prototype, what did we do? I think we moved on to observer. Okay. Where can we use observer?
Users
email
subscribe
notification.
to certain.
Like maybe when we list something, or when we say ki like when we update the status ki it has been sold.
Like house is it's
When
in
the user
building
is
form,
viewing your
it is in
property.
manufacture form, and we have everyone data available from us, right? Once it is completed, everyone gets the information that it is ready to move.
Yep.
Then the notification, yeah.
Or
Yep.
like you're looking for a 2 BHK in certain area, you're getting email notification. Like
Yes.
something.
That it has been listed, it is available, it is not available, like status, right? Cool. Okay, after observer, we moved on to command. Where can we use command over here? Hello? What happened?
Will not use command.
Opening chest
So,
with the tenant.
Sorry?
So we want to record the actions that the user is doing.
Okay.
For example, is doing a click, and you have to make an object out of a click, and then have to store it. Which flats are most searched for, right? Most number of clicks, something like that.
Or maybe
Recommendation for recommendation.
like, you know, putting something up for, I mean, so setting up a meeting with a associate, right? And then canceling that meeting. That's a command. Then you can have various type of commands like setting up a meeting with the associate, setting up the verification process again, the police verification process, and all those steps that are there can be treated as commands.
Basically, requesting anything, right? Like requesting meetings or say even contract or listing or anything, right? You can
even if we list the property, so it needs approval from the admin. So it goes to admin and admin approves. Kind of
so
command
you
where
want to treat it like an object, you want to send it and then they can review it and approve it like that.
That would be more of an observer design pattern, right? Because admin is the subscriber here.
But you can do a combination of both. No, you are treating the request as an object, so that becomes command.
Okay, makes sense, yeah.
Yep. Okay, cool. Chain of responsibility.
So when you're buying a house, it needs multiple approvals by multiple people.
We already talked about that stamp and this and this and this. So we talked in terms of creation, maybe in terms of key when you are processing something, right? We created the contract, but when you're processing it, maybe for the approvals, you can use chain of responsibility. Yes?
Yep.
Hey, don't sleep in the last half an hour of the course. Come on, iterators.
Like you want to iterate over the listings and all.
Cool. Strategy.
The recommendation strategy.
Recommendation strategy. You guys are pro now. See, you can use design patterns in any system. You know that you can use it. Okay, template.
House templates.
House template or
any
floor
sort of
building template, something like that.
House template, contract bid template, invoice
Agreement.
template, agreement or contract. Yep. Okay. Adapter.
Maybe
prototype
some,
first, no?
you have some API from some other website, you're converting that data into.
Yep.
Google Maps API.
Reading.
Yeah, let's say to find the property you're using Google Maps or something.
Yep.
Like
Yep. Good example.
Then your payment is also an adapter thing.
Yep. Okay.
Google Maps and Apple Maps is not adapter, right? It's bridge pattern.
Now here, let's say we are saying in such a way that you are just collecting the data, but you are representing in your own way. You are not exactly using Google Maps in that way.
Like you can fit in anything,
Okay.
right?
I think, I mean, what I feel is if there is a physical document and you wanted to digitize it, then we wanted to convert into a different format. So there maybe adapter is a good.
Yeah.
Basically, the point is ki if we want to say use the APIs of Google Maps and Apple Maps, and we have to convert it to say some format, XML, JSON, anything. So
for real example, we have Vistal file, right? That is in SOAP, right? SOAP API, SOAP, right? So we convert into REST. So that moment we need adapter.
Agreed. Okay. Decorator.
Flat with a
That with furnished or something.
Yeah.
Different
levels of furnishing probably.
Yes.
Furniture,
Furniture, maybe kitchen, maybe swimming pool. You want to probably add elevator. That okay. These are the basically amenities that are present, right? So you can use this for amenities. Make sense? Sorry for my terrible handwriting. I'm just writing very fast. Okay, bridge. Everyone awake?
request payments.
Where can we use bridge?
I said that, no? Request and payments.
Request and payments.
Can we show it? Can we use it to show the location, like where that property is?
So basically Gmaps and
Yeah.
Apple.
Yeah.
Yep. Anywhere else? Maybe for contract building, you have different contractors. Which contractor you want to use?
Kirti, while designing the code, like even when we are writing HPP and CPP files, like some headers we might not give to clients, so they are just a bridge to the actual implementation, right?
The header files are just a bridge to the actual implementation. Yes.
So anyway, structurally we're using a bridge.
Yes.
What?
He's basically saying ki we black box the implementation by including the headers, right? Not just like any library or any other class. So that is also like bridge only, because the implementation is somewhere else. We're abstracting out ki how it is being implemented. And you can sort of think of it. There also basically there'll be different classes. There will be implementation somewhere, there'll be abstraction somewhere, right? So you can consider it like bridge.
We have really gone too far.
Can you explain how request is a bridge? What kind of
Who said
what
this?
is
Tanmay said this, no? Tanmay? There?
Okay, refer to the IRCTC design.
No,
It's
but
there in the YAML. But okay, if you want to know how request and payments work is, so you can have different type of requests, and then you can abstract out the implementation, basically the request processors. So that is one. And for payments, again, you can have different type of payment classes, and then you can have process payments, and you can abstract the implementation of processing payments out to different type of classes. So yeah, bridge pattern goes there. Correct me if I'm wrong.
understood, or any further question?
Okay. Yeah, got some idea. I'll maybe refer again.
Okay. It's okay if you did not understand, you can ask again. It is not like we are going to run away. You can ask. Okay. Don't feel like you, oh, he is so smart, I don't know anything. It's okay. He is also learning only. Composite. Where can we use composite? Hello. Composite. Come
Maybe
on.
is it like subletting of flats? I don't know.
What is composite? People are saying they forgot composite. What is composite?
It means aggregation of objects in the term.
Sorry?
It means objects in the term.
Your voice is very low. I can't hear.
So
Rent the whole society.
A component can be a leaf or again a
it's a tree
component
pattern, right? So
opposite.
So
address
society
is a
inside
component.
home inside.
Okay.
Directory and
So
file.
search could be powered via composite pattern.
When do we use composite? Guys, don't get
When you have
confused. Naveen,
a
relax. Naveen, it's okay. Don't get confused, okay? When do we use composite? What is the crux of composite?
so when you have a directory type scenario wherein your component can also be an object.
So basically, when you have a single object and you have a group of objects, right? You want to treat them in the same way. Remember our directory wala, inside directory there was file, inside directory there was file. We said we want to use this and this in a particular way, similar way. Yes?
So maybe if you rent a flat and it has 4 bedrooms and you rent it out to 3 people, something like that.
You can probably say ki renting a room versus renting a flat. You want to treat it like same way. What do you think? Like flat can have room and kitchen. Maybe you can rent out the room. Maybe you can rent out kitchen. Just same. Yes?
No.
No? Okay. Where else can we use composite?
Can it be like simple,
No,
like 2
and
BH?
Go on.
Yeah, like 2 PHK flats is there. It can be of Shobha or it can be of any other, but
That is not
Okay.
composite. Composite is you want to treat the groups as same.
So I'm just thinking like Shobha is one group. So
Chaitanya has given a very good example, flats and parking spaces. So you want to rent out flat and rent parking space, or maybe rent both together as a composite. What do you think?
I would consider this more of a decorator. So you flat and then put a parking
Yeah,
space
that
on top of that.
Okay, okay. Then give me
I
a good
think
example of composite.
It's a composite. It's a composite here.
You can treat it as a composite, but because usually it is considered as an amenity, right?
Or maybe not, yeah.
Yeah.
but the flat and room example is good, no?
Somebody said no. Is flat and room example okay with everyone?
So
Shiva,
one more example is, let's say we have a builder. Builder is having a flat under him, and builder is having an apartment under him, or a society. And societies can be sub-societies, and those can have flats. So basically, flats.
See, it does seem force fit. I know. Okay, I'm just saying you can use composite. I'm not saying use composite for that. I'm just saying where could you use composite in this system? Okay, I'm not saying
Suppose
go.
yeah,
Ah.
one item means it's a generic actually.
Yes.
One item has to be sold, and then it is a possibility that its sub parts also can be sold separately.
Yep.
So
That's why I said room and flat. But
One
okay,
more
let's not try
example.
to force fit. Yeah, tell me.
One more example could be users and a group of users searching for a flat. So
Oh, nice. So basically, suppose there is one user profile A and user profile B. You want to treat them as separately, or maybe you want to treat them as a family and you want to search for them. And then you want to say, ki, okay, this is our customer or these two are our customers. Nice.
So what is the requirement
Both,
here?
So the requirement is basically your customer is just a user, or is your customer a family of customers of users?
it's basically mixing
but
splitwise and no
why
broker.
should we have why should we store objects there? Like, shouldn't we have map for that? Like, rather than having a composite structure.
It does seem force fit because in a family there will be user and then there will be family and then inside family user. It does seem like a force fit. So let's say key composite is not a very good example for
How
no.
about
If you're selling a flat, if
Hmm.
you're selling a flat or all the flats in a floor or all the floors of a building,
Floor, flat, room, flat, you get the point, right? We can use it, but it is not a very good example. It is okay. Okay. Proxy and facade, I hope I don't have to cover. We had a very good discussion on proxy facade the other day, right? Yes, tell me.
So on the composite example that could be possible, right? Department, we have different departments, sales department and financial department, and one is the head department, which is a single entity, and other entities, that sales department and the financial, that can be.
Finally, a good example. Thank you
And
so
head
much for that.
department.
Yes. So that's one example that we took. You remember, we took engineering, we took the example of team and department. We also saw the code of this. They are part of the team and then teams are part of a department. So yes, they can be different departments, financial department. And what other department you said?
Sales department.
Sales department. And maybe you want to send some, maybe pay salary to the entire thing, but maybe you want to promote only the financial department and not the sales department. They did not do a good sales, right?
area also can be like the area where it is searched, like it's a whole city. If I want to search for a whole city,
So basic example, like, so it's a, there is a one headquarter that we can say. So headquarter is nothing like a head department which basically controls everything. So maybe the area wise department or the sales department, or the academic department which has. So there could be a different departments altogether, and we have the one head department which controls it and have the ability to perform the different operations. So
Yes, I agree with Ankur. Like I am staying in the defense, right? Defense colony. There is Sainik department is there, like constable, and other is army officer is there. So that is right example.
Cool. Okay. This brings us officially to the end of the course. So congratulations, everyone. Give yourself a good pat on the back. I hope you all had a very good time. And please, okay, the Senti stuff is going to start now. Please be active on Discord, ask questions. If you're feeling overwhelmed, please practice. I will continue to help. Please review each other's code. Participate in the hackathon. I would love to give the 10K hamper to one of you. So please, one team or one of you. So please do participate in hackathon. The concepts will get clearer. I hope to meet you again in more courses. The next batch of LLD will also be accessible to you. So if you want to re-attend any classes, if you have missed any classes, you can do that. I will be giving different hackathon over there. If you want to participate again, you can do that as well. If there are any questions, you can ask me at any point of time. I will be always available. Please fill the feedback form, because if you don't fill it, I will not get any improvement points and I will not be able to improve in my upcoming courses. And more than that, I will not be able to put anything on my site, which will be very sad that I taught so many people and I can't put anything on the site. So please, if you genuinely like the course, please share your feedback. I would love to share it on the site, on LinkedIn, on Insta, and everything. Yes. So, okay. We can chit chat now. Any questions regarding interview
Kirti,
preparation? Yes, tell me.
yeah, a few specific questions actually.
Yeah.
In the strategy pattern that we did, right? So while going through the Java code, I asked this on the Discord channel also. What we had done was that, so in strategy, what we have is we have an interface, then we have concrete strategies, right? So in Java specifically, this is specific to Java. What we had done was that we had a finalize function. And in that, we were setting our strategy to null. Now, finalize is a function of the object class, right? And we are not calling it anywhere in the code, or specifically we are not calling the finalize function. It is supposed to be called by the JVM. So was there any specific reason that we chose to write it that way, or we can set null anywhere?
I think we can, but Java people, like any people who are really good in Java, can you take this up? I don't think
Okay.
I give it like a very good thought behind adding that. Yes.
So in the code as well, you were actually assigning null in the handle function of your last implementer, right? And you had a finalize function also. So we were actually assigning null at two places.
So you're saying I shouldn't have done that?
I mean, yeah, it wasn't being used. So
Okay. Honestly, I am not like a big Java person. I can check it out. Maybe it was not the right thing to do. It was definitely not. There was no definite reason why I added that.
Yeah, only that's why I asked that. Was there any particular reason
What is
for
the
that?
question? Can you please come again the question?
So in Java, I had written finalize in a particular place in strategy design pattern. She's asking, was there any specific reason? There was no specific reason. I am also not an expert in Java. Like C++, I am very good at. Java, I'm not very good at. So there was no very specific reason. The focus of the entire course has been on design patterns, on the structure in general. I did
Mainly, I don't check the code, but finally we are using to disconnect the connections, right? So singleton, wherever we are using, where there is connection is there, like DB connection is there. So what happen if we don't close the connection?
So,
It
so
will.
this is not about finally, but this is
Okay.
about finalize, which is different.
Okay,
Actually,
finalize.
finalize,
Here?
I guess, comes under garbage collection. When the object is
Yes.
about to get
Okay,
removed,
okay, got it.
it gets invoked.
Okay,
We are
finalized.
explicitly saying that garbage collector to invoke these particular kind of objects to be garbage collector whenever the execution done.
So that was basically the depiction of composition relationship. If the parent function object dies, then the child will also die. So yeah, that's what. So the thing is, it's not necessary to make it null in finalize. We can make it anywhere.
Got it. And on the same line, in the code itself, one place we had done was in one of the system design, I don't remember, that there was abstract classes used, but there was no any default method implementation, that we had added. So just like using an interface would do the same thing for us, right? If we don't want a default class, a default method, right?
Yep, yep.
Okay. Okay.
I've
And one
never, like in any of the codes that you see, I've not focused so much on language specific things. I've focused more on crux of the design pattern and general class structures.
got it, no issue. And one thing was that this is related to IRCTC only. What we had done was, and it's like applicable to, I think, more or less all the systems, that we have a request and we have a request processor. Then we have concrete request processors and concrete request also. Now my question was since like for IRCTC now we have the code only for login and payments and all, not for every request, right? It's a very vast system. So I wanted to understand, and this was coming up during our hackathon discussions also, that request has a request processor, or request processor should be having a request.
That's a good question. Okay, what do you all think? Request processor has a request or request has request processor?
Request has request processor.
Why?
Because it seems correct that way.
Why? Request processor can process request, no? It has request. What reasoning is that?
Because I would expect the request to, like, even after being processed and all, I would expect the request to stay. Like, we want to log it or something like that. So I will treat the request as the primary thing and the request processor to do whatever additional action we want it to do. So since I'm treating the request as primary, so I will keep it as like it has the processor, not the other way around. And also, if we don't have a request to like process, what are we going to process? Because the user is not going to give you a processor. The user is going to give you a request. So
yeah, so it's like lift and that lift controller.
Train and trace journey.
Basically, both are true. It depends how we want to design.
Yeah.
So, is it a good enough reasoning? I love the reasonings given by Subhajit, by the way, so to the point. What do you guys think?
So does that mean that when we are creating a request, at that point only we are using that concrete request processor to process that actual request?
Yeah, can you repeat that? Sorry.
I'm saying that, let's say I have a request coming up, and at the time when I'm creating the request object, at that point only, since my request has a request processor, I'm creating the request processor object also, because it has a request processor, right? So both the objects I'll be creating. Yeah, it's composite.
Yep. It does make sense that after processing the request also, you'll have to do some things with it, right? So it's a very good reasoning.
Okay, thanks.
Cool. Any other questions? Anything?
Yeah, one language related question. So I code in Python mainly.
Okay.
And I mean, when you talk about design patterns, you're not able to, I mean, even though you're able to show the other relationships and all that stuff, it does not become very clear because you're not writing it implements or it extends or something like that, right? So
I am
in
right in Java. I am writing right in
Python.
That's a Python.
Yeah.
But in
So
Same
Python
thing I had
also
with
you have a
JavaScript as well.
concept of like super class and base like
that
child
is
class.
there, even abstract class is there, but the problem here is your abstract class can only be an abstract class. I mean, you can treat it both as an interface or an abstract class, right? So you cannot, I mean, the question here is like, is it okay to do that, or should I just switch to some language like Java or CPP because I can code in Java as well?
No, you can do in LLD any language that has concept of like types. Basically, like you can do where there is a concept of classes, you can do LLD there.
yeah, that one. Instead of types, I will say wherever you are doing OOPS concept, wherever there is object oriented programming, you can use LLD. But for stuffs like, let's say, yeah, for mostly in my case, I can give example. Let's say mostly I work in React or Next.js like that. So in projects that I handle, object-oriented programming is followed less than functional approach. Like we use a lot of functional programming. So there, solid principle is used a lot, but not necessarily all the design patterns and also.
Okay.
Hello, Kirti. Actually, can I take one question?
Yeah. Go on.
Yeah, actually, I had earlier asked, and I asked on Decode also, and I got a answer as well. But I am not fully satisfied with that. So I would like to take it if it is fine then.
Go on.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, there are earlier there was a simple mobile. Now it got extended. Smartphone has been introduced. So yeah, so Amit has suggested to use command pattern over here. Okay, so
Or
it
what
can
is
be
the
actually.
case? Phone, and then okay, you had a phone. Now it is updated to smartphone. Where are you
So
using command pattern?
so my problem statement was actually with the minimal changes, and this can go on actually. Now the currently there are smartphones, so it can be there will be super advanced phone as well, which can convert from phone to, it can convert to laptop or anything. Can be augmented reality can be part of phone, or something new modifications can become in future. So whatever I had written a code like I had a, suppose I have a tool which is simulation kind of a tool, so which is simulating the functionality like mobile operations like calling, then camera, uh, then messaging kind of a thing. Then so new type of smartphone functionalities has been added. So in such cases I want to do a minimal changes in my system so that it can um, yeah, adapt it easily. So how can am I able to explain the question properly?
I think you are. Would anyone like to answer this?
This is an exact case scenario of template pattern, right? So this is the scenario that you gave in template pattern. We have an older Amazon, and now we want to expand it to some other, let's say, foreign Amazon delivery and stuff like that. So, I mean, I think that is what he's trying to say, right?
No, I think it is more of what kind of things you are trying to simulate. Like if you are telling calling, how this calling is different in a suppose non-smartphone and smartphone.
So I don't want to say like that. I want to say like there is a simulation tool. So simulation tool is using call functionality. Okay, so people are using simulation tool to test the mobile device. So they are using earlier call. Now the touch has been introduced. So earlier they were using the mobile object to object dot call. Now the smartphone has been introduced, which is a type of mobile only, and which is have the new functionalities. So mobile object dot touch should be possible. Earlier it was not there.
So that is the whole
Yeah, so
purpose
that is
of
very,
making our system extendable. That
yeah. So
in
if
future more features will be coming, and we have to accommodate that. That's the whole purpose of writing like our code that is extendable to future scenarios also.
Right. So how I can extend this?
so
So it's
so for your example, you can think of it like if you have a simple factory pattern and you have a some suppose you are saying a call method, so you can have a interface where you have a concrete suppose smartphone and different kind of phones, and both are implementing its own call method. So suppose now going forward you have another kind of a device, it will have its own call method. So at your end you are just doing a this some object dot call method, but what call method will be implemented will depend on which concrete
It's
objects.
not like actually devices are different. I am introducing a concept like new features has been introduced. Like call is one feature, that is fine. Different devices I'm not considering. I'm considering different features has been introduced. This is a general general example actually do we see everywhere that new features, new additions, extensions, actually new extensions are coming into the picture. So how to deal with these extensions?
So you are keeping the existing feature. You are just adding the feature, right?
Yeah, adding new
So in that
features.
case, can we go for a decorator? Like
Yeah, that's the problem. Like we have to know, okay, what is we are trying to simulate, what is the requirement.
Requirement is new.
You are telling new feature, but what is the feature? What we are dealing with that?
Suppose earlier days only simple mobile was there, right? Which
Yeah.
has only simple functions. Now the mobile got advanced. So I have a tool which was simulating the mobile functions, okay, for testing purpose. So I have written some code, and I'm using that simulator to test the my application, which is testing the mobile devices, okay, which will do call function, which will do message function, camera, all those things. Then now smartphone has been introduced, so which is having different functionality. So it is a mobile only, but having new features like touch operation, then fingerprint. So these are the new features has been introduced. And these features I want to accommodate in my system. So to accommodate
Your
that,
system being the tool that you were using earlier.
yes.
Okay.
So for these cases, generally what we do is we write extension class. So in extension class we write a new functionalities, okay. But the here we need to create an object of extension in that case. But I don't want to create an object of extension class. I want to create an object of the earlier, means the base interface only, means the mobile interface only. And by using that only, I want to achieve the new functionalities. So I have one one design in play picture, like I can take each feature as a, I will create a I feature as a interface, and different feature will be concrete classes of the I feature, and those will be part of mobile, and mobile will call just mobile dot uh, feature dot execute, and we will pass which kind of feature it is, while mobile dot feature and feature will have some argument dot execute, like this. So is it a good way of design?
I have a question, right? If I may. The thing is that you said you earlier had older mobiles, now you have new type of mobiles, right?
Yes.
So basically you're now having a new type of product in itself, right? It's a new top level class. So
But
the
it,
features, so you might have the older features for this new product, but I mean, but the features that are only for your new mobile will not be there in the older mobile, right?
right.
So why do you actually want to do mobile.execute? Rather, I think what you're looking for is doing Android mobile.execute.
But that so that will create a problem now. So each time whenever there no new type of mobile is introduced, I have to create a that object and then call the particular functionality. So I want
That
to
though
Probably
you anyways
you
have to do,
have to
no?
do anyway. Probably you can separate it in terms of think like how similarly you can group them. For example, if this case I take, you can take Android phone.execute or Apple phone.execute, but you have to make the call separate anyway because the processes may be very different.
But as I mentioned, the way like I will create a mobile object which will have I will create a I will take the interface, mobile interface, and then its feature then dot execute. So in that case, I do not require to create a concrete class of Apple or a new smartphone, right? So I
Yeah.
can do by this way, means there I need not require to create a concrete class. So here whatever I am passing the argument to the feature.
Okay, then
So
in that case, can you please tell me how are you going to implement a scenario where if you're going to call only one single class, let's say mobile.execute or something, let's say you have a feature in your newer model which the older model doesn't have. How are you going to handle that scenario?
older. So in that case, it will. Okay.
You are going to, most probably you will go with just a dummy class, which we already discussed in the first class, that it is not a good design pattern, that you are just keeping it just as a placeholder. It does nothing, right? So that way I'm saying like it's probably best if you have a totally separate class rather than using the same thing again and again. Because if you keep on using the same thing, then later on, let's say you have 10 different device types. One is foldables, one is vertical folding, horizontal folding, laptop form factor, or something like that. Your features might be very different from all of those devices, but all of them may be considered as mobile device. So if you put just mobile not any feature, like calling any feature, you might have to implement that thing to multiple devices where it is not needed. You will just return as dummy function or something like that, isn't it?
Yeah, I agree. But creating different objects as well means it is not making it as means many places we need to change, and then it's not extendable, right? So
How are you thinking it's not extendable? In which way you are thinking?
so currently I
Because
have created one application
yeah,
which is already using the mobile. It's for mobile, and it's calling its feature, and then
Hey, I
the
am
new.
so sorry. Actually, there are a bunch of questions that are coming in the chat. Can we resume this question and this discussion in 10 minutes?
Yeah, sure.
Because then people will leave, right? So there were some questions that came, so I'll just pick them up quickly. And if there are any other questions that should be picked up, please do mention. Someone was asking, I usually use Lucid Chart. Can interviewers force you to use any particular tool? So it does happen. So companies might have any specific tool. So with your HR, just have the conversation that will there be any specific tool or can I use it? A lot of companies nowadays go like use any ID, use any online whiteboard, but some companies can be very specific. So ask in advance. But if the companies are specific, it is taken okay if you took some time to understand what is happening. But most of the tools will be more or less similar, especially the IDs and the online whiteboard also. So don't worry about it too much, but get used to using at least one online whiteboard and at least one, online ID. Okay. Any other question that you guys have that I can pick up quickly about anything related to?
So Kirti, the problem is after like learning these things, we need to get call, right? So how to deal with 3 months notice period of the company? Like in my, it's the service based company and the notice period is 3 months. I am getting the calls, but like after that, the HR tells that I'll get back to you, but they don't call again. Okay.
So
So I think
I
that's
have
the
done.
problem.
Yeah,
Just tell them that it is 3 months, but it is negotiable, and just
Yeah,
go
I
on with the
tried that.
interview.
Even after that, like one HR told that, can you get me the confirmation from the HR that you would join in a month, something like. But no HR will give that in confirmation, right?
Yeah. Like I
So
don't
it
know who asked
depends.
that.
So basically, you
So
can ask the second organization to provide a payout for your current organization. That can happen, a buyout actually.
Yeah, that can also.
So all those things depends means how your current organization is going to means handle it. Basically, not even organization, your manager. Everything depends upon your manager. If your manager is ready to release you in one day, your HR will release. If he is not ready, your HR will not release.
see, what I did was I was
No, the
also having.
problem is not about the release. The problem is like I should get the interview schedule, right?
Yeah,
They are not
correct.
calling
The
me back
thing, the
after
thing
knowing
is
that.
in that case, in that case, nothing can be done. You can just try to convince the newer company, their HR or means whoever is contacting, that you can negotiate. But again, it is true that they are asking that if you can give me the confirmation that you can get it, which you cannot do. Until and unless you put a paper, you cannot go and talk to anyone in the company that you want to get released in these many days.
You can do one thing which I have done. Get a job in another service-based company, put your resignation, then search for a product-based company. Like for me, I used to work in TCS, so I got a job in Accenture. Then I moved to Deloitte USA. So after 1 month, just wait for that 1 month and try for product-based after that 1 month. So you have a job offer in hand, even if you don't get any product based also, at least you have something in hand. And by doing that, you can cross that 90 days also. Like I have done that.
That's a good, that's a very,
Okay.
and congratulations for the offers.
So yeah, what I did was I basically lied. So yeah, that's what I told them, that I'm on release and only 1 month is pending. So I got the interviews, I cracked the interviews. But the thing is, you are not going to join the company straight away, right? I mean, for me, it was like I wanted multiple offers. So in 3 months, I gathered around 14 offers, and finally I joined.
Yeah, but it does require, there is a lot of risk when you leave a
It
job.
is correct.
So you have to have that confidence key, you know, and see everyone's dependency is different, right? Like for me, my family members are independent, so they are not financially dependent on me. So I can take that risk. Not everyone can take that risk. So depending on what your situation is, think about it and make the decision. Yep. Okay, another question that came from Monica was that is it okay to ask feedback after interview to the interviewer or ask HR, because HRs don't reply? See, asking feedback in a technical interview, mostly your technical interviewer won't be able to tell you. So instead of that, ask something technical to sound a bit smarter, like ask probably what tech stack do you work on, what do you work on? Probably try to build a bit of connect if you have that time, and if you're interviewer seems a bit chill, but in most of the companies, your interviewer will not be able to give you any feedback. You can probably mention it in a subtle way that if you can you share something, or should I wait for the HR to get back? Mostly it is the HR only that can give you the feedback. Your interviewer is not allowed to give you any feedback. So yep.
Okay, on this similar line, so something which I felt like sometime it happened that interviewer asked you some question, you need to give the solution. You think of one solution which you think in some cases it will not work, you are going for another solution, and at last you are asking for that technical person what could be the best solution for that if you have time, and he is saying that the first solution what you was thinking, he is also giving the same solution, but you cannot debate that this solution will not work because of these things. You know that the person who is taking interview is even not correct, he is not giving you the correct solution, or so in that case.
We lost you in that case.
Okay, so in that case, you know that what solution he is expecting or he is telling you is not the correct one, and that is having some loopholes, but you cannot debate on that. So
If you can logically tell the loophole, the ideally interviewer should take it in a very good sense, right? That you were able to tell the loophole. You can say that this will be the problem, but if you still want me to go ahead and code with that, I can do that. In fact, being able to tell the test cases and being able to identify the loophole should be considered a good thing, at least in decent interviewers' perspective.
अभी कीर्ति मार्केट में क्या चल रहा है? लाइक मार्केट ओपन है या रिसेशन चल रहा है? जो पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू.
Okay, what is the market condition right now? I think it is coming back to normal. It is not completely as much as it was, say, in 2020 or 2021 beginning. But I think many companies have started hiring. So it is coming back like slowly.
तो अभी नोटिस पीरियड की बात चल रही थी, जैसे 90 डेज का. ये तो प्रोटोकॉल्स है कंपनीज का, तो इसमें हम क्या ही बोल सकते हैं. उनको भी पता होता है, वो तो रोज ही इंटरव्यूज लेते हैं कि जैसे मैं अभी एससीएल में काम कर रहा हूँ, तो उनको पता ही है कि 90 डे प्रोसेस है या टीसीएस में 90 डे है. तो ऐसे तो हमारा तो एक दिन का है, हम बोल सकते हैं, बट वो तो रोज ही इंटरव्यूज ले रहे हैं, उनको पता ही रहता है. तो उसमें कैसे डील करना है?
मतलब I did not get the question.
आई मीन्स लाइक एचआर को तो पता रहता ही है ना मैम कि 90 डेज का ही होगा इनका. तो इनको पता रहेगा कि ये हमसे ऑफर लेटर लेगा तो नेक्स्ट कंपनी के लिए अप्लाई कर देगा, 10-12 इकट्ठे कर लेगा 90 डेज में. तो उसी में फर्स्ट ऑफर लेटर लेने के लिए थोड़ा वो कैसे स्टार्ट करें?
So as Prithvi suggested, no, you probably start from a service based itself, like Accenture he had done, like from TCS. Then from there he went to product based companies. So basically, in product based companies, usually they look for like one month of time, right? So maybe in the starting, apply for companies or get one offer from any company which is okay with 3 months, or who is ready to pay out, right? Or who is able to buy you out. After that, focus on companies that you really want to aim for.
लाइक
At
मैम
least one
रियल लाइफ में अभी ऐसा मार्केट सिनेरियो है, टीसीएस वगैरह वो भी बहुत स्मार्ट हो चुके हैं, उनको पता रहता है कि ये अगर इमीडिएट ज्वाइनर है, 19-21 भी है तो उसको रख लेंगे, अगर वो बहुत अच्छा कैंडिडेट है, उसका 90 डे पीरियड है, उसको नहीं रखेंगे। मतलब ऐसा हुआ है, ऐसा होता है कि
It
जिसका
does.
मतलब हाँ 1 वीक का नोटिस पीरियड है तो उसको इजीली रख लेंगे, अगर वो कुछ भी कम भी बताए या जैसे भी है, मतलब उसका इंटरव्यू 90-80 भी रहे तो उसको दे विल पिक इट अप। सो
It does happen that they hire someone who is immediately available because the earlier you can be productive, the earlier you can join, the better. So if
तो
there's not much difference, they will end up hiring
तो
someone.
इट्स टोटली डिपेंड ऑन द मार्केट, मार्केट कैसा है, राइट, डिपेंड ऑन द मार्केट। लाइक अभी 2 साल पहले ऐसे अमेजोन में ऑफिस ओपन हुआ था हैदराबाद में, तो बहुत वैकेंसी थी, सभी हायर हो गए थे। अभी गूगल का ऑफिस ओपन हो रहा है हैदराबाद में, तो डिपेंड ऑन द मार्केट कि मतलब वैकेंसी कितनी है मार्केट में, उसके हिसाब से सिलेक्ट होते हैं, राइट मैम?
Yes. And also, I think a lot of it depends on how you communicate with the HR. I feel some people really have how do you talk to HR? Do you sound convincing enough? Do you sound confident enough? If you don't sound like, you could be very productive, then they are not going to give you that much importance. And that is also one thing that is there. I feel communication is really, really are important. Like people say, English speaking and communication and all of this is secondary. But I have faced so many interviews. Trust me, the way you talk, the way you present yourself, the way how confident you're sounding in the interview, not just your technical skills, but the able to connect with the interviewer also really decides that how good you're going to do.
लाइक मैम मेरा 10 साल का एक्सपीरियंस है, मैं खुद इंटरव्यू लेता हूँ। जैसे हमने उनको बोल दिया कि सिलेक्ट है, तो एचआर तो मुझे लगता है वो तो ऐसे ही है, एक प्रॉक्सी है, जो टेक्निकल ने बोल दिया तो सिलेक्ट है, कोई पूछता भी नहीं
But
उसको।
in technical also, people should be feeling connected with you. And it is not necessary कि all the technical interviews that you're going to have are going to be Hindi speaking, right? So even if it is a technical interview, I'm not saying like building the connect with the HR. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about building the connect with any interviewer. Any interviewer that
लाइक
is
एचआर तो खुद ही बोलते हैं कि अगर हमारा इंटरव्यू नहीं हो रहा है तो दूसरे प्रोजेक्ट में हम करवा देते हैं, जब हायरिंग रहती है तो वो तो खुद ही करवाने को रहते हैं कि यार हमें बोलते हैं कि इनको सिलेक्ट कर लो, कुछ भी है, मतलब ट्राई।
Everything depends upon the situation, how the requirement is.
या
Sometimes it
मार्केट
is okay
मार्केट
to
पे
say
डिपेंड
that
करता है,
HR is just a
ऐसे भी रहता
proxy
है,
one,
मेल्स
same
फीमेल्स
but
का भी रहता
many
है
time
कि
it
थोड़ी
happens
फीमेल्स ज्यादा
that
करनी है।
even though
और
your interview was very good, but HR will not hire you because of salary or anything. It can be XYZ anything. Even though you have a very excellent feedback for the technical interview, but HR will not hire you. So
Yeah.
everything depends upon the requirement.
So it depends on the requirement, on the company, on the on multiple factors. So that is why show your smartest the best possible, not just to the technical interviewer, to the HR, because in some companies like in Google, it happens that people cleared the technical rounds, they couldn't clear the googliness round, the non-technical round, and they don't get offers. It does happen. Imagine you crack 5 to 6 technical rounds and you don't get the interview call, you don't get the offer because of a non-technical round. So it does happen. Don't take anything lightly. Be very serious, be very confident. Try to show the best possible side of you in an interview. In all the interviews, don't take any part lightly because it really depends on the situations. I agree. But if some HR, if you build a connect with the HR, maybe the HR can find some other team for you, even if one team is not ready to hire. Suppose the HR connect is not good, but the technical connect is so good. Maybe the technical interviewer can fight for you, no, I want to hire this person. So anything can happen. Don't take it lightly.
Kirti, like a follow-up on the part where people mentioned that we have 90 days retention in the company. So like, should we, like, how should we then apply for the notice period? Like, should we apply beforehand only before getting the companies hiring or something? Like, how should we apply or when should we apply for the notice period? Like, that's a bit of a dilemma.
Honestly, I don't understand why should you wait for applying? Like, just start applying. Like a lot of people keep waiting for the right moment to happen. Just keep applying. If the interviewer doesn't allow for the interview, it is fine. Otherwise, if it happens, then it's good,
No,
right?
I meant applying for notice period in my company. Like, when should I do that? Like, should I wait for the companies to like accept my notice period? Ki haan, 90 days tak they'll wait, and then I should or should I like think ki haan, ab I am ready for facing interviews and apply for notice period and then go blindly 3 months applying for different interviews or stuff. Like, it sounds a bit risky, the second part. Yeah.
I
What do you mean by
understand.
applying for notice period?
Basically resigning, I guess. Right?
Designing.
Rahul, that's
What
what you
is so risky here, guy? Like,
Yeah.
if you're if you're really good, definitely you would be like selected in one of many companies. What is so risky
That's
here?
what, no, that's a very abstract thing to say that we are really good. We don't know how the people are in the market, right? So
Yeah, correct.
I
There is
don't
a
think we
fear.
can ever feel like confident enough that we are good. We are ready to.
See,
See, some
generally,
of us, for some of us, it might feel, there is no risk because but if for someone for whom like your entire family is dependent on you, it might seem like a risk because no matter how good you are, what if, things don't work out for you and you don't get the job, you will not be earning for say a few months till you get the job, right? But the truth is you have to have confidence that you will get the job. It might be in 2 months, it might be in 3 months, it might be in 5 months, it might be in some time, but you will get the job. And you have to have the confidence while applying anywhere. But it depends on your situation whether you can take the risk of resigning before or not. Like in my case, I am very, I'm a huge risk taker. As you can see, I am teaching full time, leaving my good job. This itself is a huge risk, right? Because I'm not earning as much as I was earning in my full time job. So it depends on how much risk you want to take.
One extra question, should like apart from these DSA, HLD and LLDs, should we have one expertise like a specialization in any field, whether it's data science, machine learning, whether it's good to have for tier one companies or like does it matter?
See, honestly, for product-based companies, they won't care so much unless you are really applying for a specific role, like you're applying for an AML AI role, and you really want to work in that domain, it really won't matter. If you're applying for a normal product-based companies for a developer role, LLD, HLD, DSA, good enough. Like DSA first, LLD, HLD, good enough to get the job. But if you are applying for a particular role, if you're interested in MLAI, if you're interested in blockchain or any particular role, then you would have to go through it and be sure of that. Even in terms of language, like a lot of companies don't care about the language. You can code, like you can write pseudocode or you can code in any language. But if you're applying for a specific role, like for say which requires C++ or Java, and the interviewer is specifically looking for that language profile, then you might face an interview that is specific to that, right? So it depends on where you are applying. Yep.
Actually, Kirti, I have one question. Like, for solution architect and for system architect, which is taken into which kind of things are important to each one of them?
Okay, I don't think I have the expertise of going into details of that, like solution architect versus systems architect. I can check it out online. I can send you resources of people who are experienced in this domain. I've always interviewed for developer role. I've always been a candidate and an interviewer for developer roles only. So I would not like to comment on anything that I am not an expert in.
Okay, fine, thank you.
Kirti, I have a question here. Like, I am a Salesforce developer with 4 years of experience. Hope you know, like, what does a Salesforce developer do?
Yeah.
But I could not find anyone in the market who has transitioned from a Salesforce developer to any Java role. So I was thinking like to go into any product-based company because mostly in the Salesforce domain, mostly service-based companies hire because they provide the customer support, case management, marketing, analytics, such kind of things. So I was thinking to learn DSA, HLD, LLD, and then the most priority thing would be to have that resume get shortlisted. So for that, having 4 years of experience in the Salesforce, do I have to fake in the resume like I have created this project?
Don't fake in your resume. Like the worst thing you can do for yourself is that instead of that, work on your projects, like any side project, maybe build a profile. Like maybe like if you're practicing DSA, your lead code profile, add that. If you're practicing LLD or anything, add your GitHub link and all of that. That is far better than lying on your resume. Please do not lie on your resume. Even if you do well in an interview, you can get rejected because you lied in your resume. Please don't do that.
Okay, so what will they
So
consider like
extending
having?
this,
Sorry, let him
yeah,
just finish it. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, I was asking like, will they consider like the 4 years of experience into the Salesforce domain as a waste for the?
It's fine. See, if you can perform well enough in your interviews, it is okay. For your resume to get shortlisted, mention your open source contribution or any side projects or lead code profile or anything that you can show that you are, capable of being there, even some certifications or anything like that. Basically, those terms should be there in your resume. And if you get the call, make sure that your interview goes really well. I would say ki find some time and like try to invest some time in, say, participate in a hackathon, win the hackathon, or say participation certificate you have in a hackathon and you have worked on some project that is Java related. You will get the call.
Thank you.
yeah, same question, Kirti. So this hackathon of online library system, will this be okay for a cross transition of this career?
You can mention, say, if you have the GitHub, like everything is ready, right? Plus, it would be just best. Like, trust me, I have faced these interviews. I have been an interviewer for these interviews, like where the candidate just shows the project. Like, suppose you have worked on calculator, and in your resume, I find the link and I click on that, and I can actually use the calculator. I can see what you have developed, and you add the GitHub link for the code. It is very impressive, and you can definitely use it. Any project, any hackathon, you can use it. Try to
One
get
more thing, Kirti. Yeah, I have actually going through your HLD announcement channel, and I have seen there is a link for app, but that is not working in my country. I'm not staying in India.
It works only in India. Can you you can use only like Chrome for now, browsers.
You can try VPN, any Indian VPN, that would, I think, work.
I'll try it. Thank you.
Kirti, what are the most of the common mistakes that the people do in an interview which we should avoid? Like you've taken many interviews and given many interviews.
I think one thing that a lot of people do is that they get very scared and hyper. Like even in little things, like electricity goes. Like in suppose in the class, okay, if I am the teacher, do you think I am an expert? I know everything. You can ask me. You sometimes you do ask me, and I start thinking, right, that is it right? Is it wrong? I take a moment and I answer that maybe I don't know this. I'm not sure, and I say sometimes that you are correct. This is a better way to go about it. Try to have a very calm attitude. Try to get used to interviews, especially mock interviews, and all really help you. Pratik is saying happened with me, that electricity wala thing. Have a backup, like mobile data, just keep it on, have the hotspot on, keep 2 glasses of water, basics. Don't freak out if you get some question that you haven't heard. That is why I try to cover systems like Zerodha, like recommendation system that you haven't faced earlier. But if you get it, how would you tackle it? Ask questions. What is the worst that will happen? Like be confident that you have to create some classes, you have to use design patterns, have enough trust on yourself, have enough confidence that you can clear this. No one knows everything. HLD is such a vast topic. Like for example, people get so overwhelmed that, oh, I don't know this, oh shit, now what will happen? I don't know the answer. It is okay. Answer, like whatever you know, answer it with full honesty, and say, if you have worked hard, be confident on yourself and say, okay, I don't know this, I'm not sure of this, but according to what I can guess this, I am thinking on these lines. Focus on communicating the thought process. Don't go numb, don't go silent in the interview, and don't keep talking also. Like suppose in this class, I just keep talking, I don't ask you guys anything, it is not going to look good, right? It is like that. Like the other day, Tanmay was saying, right? If suppose Tanmay just kept talking and we all just said nothing, you might have probably even slept while Tanmay is explaining, correct? So please don't run into such situations. Like keep it like a discussion, keep your interviewer involved, but don't make it sound like, you're depending on your interviewer. Drive the interview. And that happens with practice mock interviews. Like now, at least you guys, who have attended the course till the very end, I literally remember your names now. Connect with each other over mail or something and take each other's mock interviews. I think you all can do that. At least just mention on Discord and take each other's mock interviews. It would be great. Like you will get to learn as an interviewer also, as a candidate also. As an interviewer, when you take the interview, like as an interviewer, you actually start thinking from interviewer's perspective. You think, oh, this guy is not talking to me at all. And then you realize, oh shit, I also do this. Or when you realize this guy has not written anything, oh shit, I also do this, right? So start taking interviews, be candidate, be interviewers, participate in mock interviews, and you'll be more confident. I can talk about this for hours, but yes, I hope you get my point. Cool. Any other questions? Also, oh guys, before you guys go, I would like to tell you that yes, Jelly Bean is Amit, who is my partner / husband. He has been helping me clear all the doubts and hackathon and everything. So quick thank you and mention to him. He doesn't like mentioning his name, but yes, I am doing that. And thank you to 3 people, especially Subhajit, Tanmay, and Meenakshi. Meenakshi, your notes are awesome. Subhajit, to the point answers, great job, Tanmay, congratulations, and you have been so good. I've actually sent these 3 people free t-shirts also as like thank you, and probably when they get it, I will share the photos on LinkedIn or on Discord if they are comfortable. But to others also, a lot of you were very, very active during the course, and really means a lot. Shri, Ranjni, Ash, I won't be able to take all the names. Vishal in the last 2-3 classes, Atul, all of you, like I might miss a few names, but thank you so much, Rama, for staying till the end, for attending all the classes, because most people give up. Not just this course, you pick up any course of any content creator, make sure you attend it till the end. I had a bunch of people who stopped attending after 2nd and 3rd week, and then they are complaining that, you did not cover any end-to-end system design. That is just unfair, right? You stay till the end. If you start on the first day, I had this message on Discord, I did not come to see this, I wanted end-to-end system design. Don't do that. Be patient in any course. It is the course is designed for everyone, for beginners also, for someone with experience also. Beginners will find it overwhelming. They will feel oh, it is going so fast. And experienced people will find it very slow. They might feel like, oh, I did not come for this, I came for end-to-end system design. I have to maintain a balance. Any teacher, any educator has to maintain a balance. So please understand that. Yes. So, yep. Any other questions you have? I am here. Like I can stay back for as long as you all want. I am going to keep talking.
Really, Kirti, really, actually, we feel confidence now, right? पहले तो हम सोचते भी नहीं थे कि we can give interview in product ways, right? तो अभी लग रहा है कि in 6 months we can like give will be part of a product ways. Yeah, surely.
But I think I need more practice on DSA for that. Like I have DSA part, I think I feel underconfident because of DSA.
Join the DSA course.
I've already joined, ma'am. And one thing, like I will be designing a Blinkit system. So in that case, anyone would like to contribute in that can join me. Like I will be sharing a Git repo.
Yep. Everyone, please, anyone who is interested in doing projects, please contact Vishal and do together if interested in Blinkit. Yep. And see, projects and all will be helpful because you can show it off. And what happens a lot of times now in your resume, when you mention a project, when your interviewers' eyes go to that, they might ask you a question related to that. So don't mention project that you have not worked on because it can lead to a negative point. But if you have worked on something, mention it. A lot of times our interviewer, like Tanmay was also sharing his interview experience the other day, right? He had worked on API, so his interview was related to APIs. Similarly, if someone has worked on Kafka, there's a high chance might be asked to design message queues or Kafka in LLD or HLD, like in separate interviews. Similarly, if I have worked on, say, accounting system, I might be asked something related to that. So whatever you mention or whatever project you're working on, make sure you know that properly. There's a high chance that your interviewer might start asking questions related to that only. Okay. Cool. Any other questions?
Do you have any plans of like starting HLD course again?
January next batch is coming. Mostly it will happen from January 8th or 9th or 10th, around that time.
एक्चुअली मैम मुझे भी कंसिडर कर लेना, और मैंने मतलब मैं सोचा था कि लाइव चल रहा है बट
So HLD, you can still join. You will get access to the previous recordings also, but those recordings are not of very good quality. So I would rather suggest कि next batch will start in January, like between like second week, right? So around 10th Jan, you can sign up then.
sure ma'am, thank you.
Good. Okay.
For LLD, there is no such facility. We joined now. For the next class, we can
Next
rejoin.
batch, I am not sure when will LLD happen. Like HLD, so why is Jelly Bean saying it won't start on 10th for sure? It will start around that time. But yes, LLD, when will that happen is ki after HLD, I have, I think, one more course planned. So I'm not sure if I'll do LLD ka second batch first or I'll do that course first. So it depends on like how many people are come for the second batch of HLD. Because if people are not coming for the second batch, then what is the point of conducting second batch of LLD, right? So people should come for the second batch of HLD also. Then I'll conduct second batches of LLD, of DSA, and like that. Okay. Any other question?
Kirti, are you planning any boot camps in between these?
Not as of now. Like for now, planning like end-to-end courses. If I plan something, I'll let you know. Chevanti gave me the idea that I should conduct something offline in Bangalore. So I am thinking, I'm considering what can be done. But for now, the focus is on full end-to-end online courses.
कीर्ति को आपसे मिलना हो तो कैसे मतलब अपॉइंटमेंट लेना पड़ेगा? लाइक मी कभी-कभी वहाँ पे आते हैं बैंगलोर में, मी एंड माय सिस्टर, शी इज स्टेइंग इन बैंगलोर, माराथली.
Acha. So you can either ping on Discord or something. So I do conduct meetups like sometimes. So I've conducted meetups in Delhi, in Bangalore, in Bhopal, like wherever I go. I usually do conduct meetups. So usually meet people in a group there. It is not possible to meet everyone individually. So if there's a meetup happening, we can meet there. Or individually, if that is going to happen, then you'll have to ping me. We'll see if it is possible, then we can plan.
आई मीन ऑफलाइन का कुछ आप सोच रहे हैं लाइक नेक्स्ट 2-3 मंथ्स में कुछ ऐसा?
So I am thinking of one offline, say tech talk or event sort of thing, like, where not just me, we can have like a bunch of people and we can talk about various things. If you guys have any ideas related to that, you can let me know also. But yeah, thinking of something to be conducted in Bangalore, maybe like one day event sort of thing where we have tech talks or discussions like entire day.
ओके. उसके लिए मतलब हमें अपना लेवल अप करना पड़ेगा पहले.
Not necessarily, like it depends on what the talks are. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
What else? Any questions? Yeah.
Yeah, so what I was asking is like the next SLD course will be same as the last one, or we will be doing end-to-end, like we will be creating the microservices and all.
No, so creating the microservices and all will be a different course. It will not. So when I say next batch means it will be exactly same. So if I am conducting a course on, say, projects and making microservices and actually implementing the HLD concepts, that will be a different course. So when I say next batch, the next batch is going to be same as the last batch. So the course and everything will be same. The classes, the curriculum, everything is going to be same. Any other questions? I hope you all had a good time though. Yeah. I was feeling very demotivated today because I got some really 2-3 people sent really big mail ki they did not like the course. They attended only 2 or 3 weeks. So if possible, please add the feedback. I was feeling very negative. It would mean a lot because I plan to do courses and I can see the improvement in you guys. Like deep down, I know you guys have improved and it was good. But if you guys if you can add the feedback, if I can add it on my website, it will really help. So please. Any
How
other
many
questions?
signed up?
Sorry?
How many signed up? How many signed up?
For DSA or for LLD?
401. For
LLD.
For LLD, it is 490 people. Actually, and you can see the number who are attending the live classes. But it happens.
490. Even on the first day, only 275 or 260 joined, as I remember.
Yep,
The first day.
a lot of people join from other time zones also. So they mentioned earlier itself that they won't be able to join the live classes. And there are a lot of people like who signed up after the course started. Maybe they wanted to attend next batch and things like that. And also many people join thinking ki we'll watch it over the weekends, not over the weekdays. Some people like watching it on speed, not like general speed. Some people like forwarding when we are chit-chatting, things like that. So personal preferences, but it happens with literally every teacher. So like anyone who is taking courses, I'm personally I'm friends with almost every content creator, right? Everyone, the number of people who sign up is X. The number of people who show up is say X by 4, X by 8, X by 10 by the end of the course. And that is why I keep my courses very short also, 5 weeks, 6 weeks. If I keep it 5-6 months, I know people will not show up. So I am like, let's keep it short, to the point, structured. So that is my thought process. Any other questions?
मैम जो अभी अवेलेबल है उनको सबको आपको डिस्काउंट देना चाहिए, टी शर्ट्स वगैरह हो सके तो।
T-shirts
There is a discount. There is a discount.
Yes, so
सिर्फ आज के लिए ना मैम, वो आज पूरा स्टॉक आउट है।
So I had mentioned कि LLD course is the coupon code that you can use on the Literate Store t-shirts. Any t-shirt, hoodie, oversized t-shirt, you can get anything, any number also 30% off you will get till tomorrow.
मैन्युफैक्चर मैम कहाँ से हो रहा है, लुधियाना से?
नहीं, तो manufacturing is happening in Bhopal. So my hometown is Bhopal, so my family is taking care of it.
एक्चुअली इंडिया का मेनली जो भी है कपड़ा मार्केट, इट्स इन लुधियाना, मेरे घर के पास में ही है।
So yes, but like
कहाँ पे मैम? मंडीदीप।
ओके, थैंक यू मैम।
Yep. Someone was asking if you are in Mandideep.
Did you design the Literate Store yourself?
Yep.
Everything?
Every single design that you see. There are like solid wala design. So there's solid design that so you can actually see, if you see the SO, you will be able to see single responsibility, open flows principle. I don't know how many of you noticed, but you can actually see ISP and DIP mentioned over there. Solid people use solid principles. Then there is
लाइक ऐसा लगता नहीं है ये नीच मार्केट है, लाइक कम पीपल जानते हैं इसको।
Yes, I agree. This is a niche market. But then my courses are also for niche market, right? We will expand to more markets. Like we have added few designs for World Cup and all of that. We plan to add more designs. But yes, we started from a niche. The Literate Store is a generic name. So you could be literate in literally any topic, not just coding. So yes, we will expand. We will add more designs. If you have any ideas of the designs or codes, please mail me. Or if you have
How it is going till now?
It is going okay, not as good as I had expected, because I got a lot of feedback. We study software engineering, and don't want to wear also software engineering. I thought a lot of people will be excited because I got very excited that if someone wears a cool T-shirt, I would want to go and see what is written, or I usually see. But the response was not very good. But I guess that is also because it's a clothes brand, right? And it takes time to build a brand. So it is going okay. I am hoping it grows. Your support, if you could share it with your friends, it would really help.
Maybe you can take help from any big influencer or any Bollywood star.
She is an
Actually,
influencer also.
she is a big influencer.
He's only big.
How many subscribers do you have?
I have 105K. But so I did send t-shirts to almost any content creator in coding that you can think of. So I sent it to Gaurav Sen, Akshay Saini, Nishant Chahar, any one you can think of. So they're all my friends, right? Like Gaurav Sen is actually coming to stay at my place tomorrow. So he with his family is coming to stay with my place for 2-3 days. So yeah, like we are all friends. It does happen like that, but you don't really support businesses so much. I think like people say ki they will support. I get a lot of messages ki they are very proud and they want to support my new business, but then the way everyone supports is different, I think. So yes.
What is the difference between your t-shirt and market t-shirt, like Be Human and other? मतलब डिफरेंस क्या है इसमें मतलब?
The designs. So
I
we
feel like in a way it's good that you like started doing it separate from like it's a niche market. I think it's a positive point because in a way you always have the opportunity to expand later on anyway. But if you started from generalization, then people will ask you even more that if you don't have anything specialized, then why should I buy from you anyway? I can buy from Amazon or any daily market.
Correct.
So in a way, I think it's better that she started from a niche market. She will have a niche
I
audience.
think if
डिजाइन
I
है तो
can
डिजाइनर
figure out from your
नहीं एक्चुअली कोई डिजाइनर है
saying
तो
that
वो
you have watched times.
So we have also added like laptop bags, which is again of the niche only. Then we are planning to add desk mats and bottles and a bunch of stuff. So it's not just t-shirts, oversized t-shirts and hoodies. We plan to like proper gift. So say one of your teammates is say resigning, you can probably give like a proper gift hamper. So whoever wins the hackathon is actually going to get 10K ka gift hamper, right? So when I give the gift hamper, there will be a bunch of things. There'll be desk mat, there'll be bottle, there'll be say a laptop bag, say a t-shirt or a hoodie. So it's like that.
But Kirti,
So
isn't it like initially you should focus on lesser SKU items? Like, do not expand too much until you stabilize your business in one
I agree. So
SKU.
we are yet to add new designs. We are trying to expand as much as possible.
Are you following the drop shipping model? Thinking
Uh,
about that?
not
Not in India.
not as
Because
And regarding the coat, so you might have good coats and all, but what about the brand? So what type
so
of
the
brand your
quality is good. So
t-shirts
it
and
is
quality,
the quality is really good.
so
So
that you know it's good, right? But how the customers will know like it's
and that
very
is
good
why
until
we
they
have
they
to build
use
up.
it.
Yes, that is why we have
probably it will take time. That one
that
it
Takes
will
time.
always take
Right.
time.
Because once people understand, like a lot of techie will prefer buying t-shirt.
Yes, but the quality is good. Like, so I would like to believe key people would also trust me, but then yeah, the quality is good because it's full cotton t-shirts. And I have been wearing all t-shirts like literally in all my videos to show that I am myself using it. I don't know what better way to show it, but yes, I guess it will take time to build a brand like that. Someone was saying you can start something like Scalar. So interestingly, don't you think this is like Scalar only? So I do have GST if you see, right?
Yeah,
So
true.
it is just that Scalar has like a team of teachers. It is just me and Jelly Bean trying to teach.
It's better than Scalar, I would say, because we
Scalar
know
yes
was
the
yes
quality,
it's a
and
better
in
than
Scalar,
Scalar.
yeah,
Scalar actually fee structure is 3,90,000 rupees. Earlier I had discussion with the Scalar
Yeah,
members.
me too. Me too. Yeah.
and it's
And
not only about fee. So you don't know like what teacher will be teaching you.
Yes, yes.
So
Actually,
yeah.
yes.
now, in that case, I will say like, okay, let's say you didn't know anything about Kirti and you are just first coming and you had the option, like you are trying to switch to a different product-based company or something, and you had in mind, okay, I need HLD, LLD, and DSA. So Kirti has all of these courses, and Scalar also has all of these courses. The main barrier that will come for majority of like, let's say middle class to lower class is Kirti is charging the amount for each courses individually. So you also have the option to take all of those courses or take single courses and then study as you go. But for Scalar, there is no short amount of like single course or something like that, right? Also, their training program is very long. It's the minimum is 9.5 months and the longest is 11.5 months. So they will charge you for the throughout the course anyway. So from financial perspective, I'm saying even if you don't know about any of them, like who is teaching either Kirti or at Scalar, from my perspective, like my point of view, I would choose Kirti like anytime over Scalar 1,000 times. So
Thank you. I don't want to bring down any company. Like that is not the kind
no,
of
no,
an
it's not about bringing. I'm just saying like it's a different business model. So yeah, I'm not criticizing the
yes.
quality course or
Has
anything.
Scalar approached you, Kirti,
Yeah,
for
I have
teaching
been
role?
approached by every edtech that you can think of for teaching. But yes, so trying to do something of my own. But yes, so in terms of, I think teaching also, like one more thing is there ki you have a lot of free videos available on YouTube, right? So you know my teaching style, ki how I teach. Because I think every teacher has a specific teaching style. Like for example, some people say ki I don't crack a lot of jokes. And I think that is true. I don't crack jokes between the class. I'm very dedicated towards teaching, and it is not something funny happening in my classes. Versus there are some people who crack jokes, who are who are like more of, who maybe teach in Hindi or something like that. So I think teacher, every educator has his or her own style. So you also know the style when you are a YouTuber because you know how I teach. So yes. But I love that, we are staying back and we are having this chit chat because I love talking to you guys and cannot thank you enough for being consistent till the last week. I was like, please, people stay till the 5th week. And I hope it was all worth it though. Yep. What else? Any other questions?
Yeah, thank you, Kirti, for everything. Like this course really, really helped me.
Thank you, Shwangi. You, I don't think I took your name, but you were also very, very, very active during the classes. Shivangi, Love, all of you, like who all asked questions and who answered questions in chat. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Kirti. And like, I don't need it from an interview point of view, but in my work, it will really help me because my work is moving more towards professional software design. So it's really
So
helpful.
much respect for you guys who are not even preparing for interview, but still show up after daily work. For those who keep complaining, no, we don't have time for preparation. I should say, okay, look at these guys. They are not even preparing for interviews. Him, Mani, Jyoti, the seniors who are coming over here, they are like, I was so impressed. They are such senior folks. Firstly, they are coming and attending with, say, even like, people like us who don't have as much experience as them. Plus, they are being active, they are being consistent. I think it's a great thing. We all should learn, we should keep upskilling and keep learning. Like I have also been feeling very motivated. I will also learn ML, AI and, more stuff like this. So you guys are actually motivating me also. You guys are like incredible. It takes a lot of commitment to show up every day when you're not preparing for courses, but you still show up. So great job.
Actually, Kirti, I wanted to thank you because every day, Tuesday to Thursday, I just look at the time when it will be 9 o'clock. When should I be joining? So really, I enjoyed the courses and especially the team who have been active. So thanks Jelly Bean, Amit as well for the support. And overall, I think the course was really helpful and yeah, all the best everybody.
Thank you. Is it too late to ask you all to turn on videos? I think it is, but if you can, I would like to take a picture, if it is possible. Atul is like, yeah, I'm always ready. What about
If you
others?
don't mind having people who are looking like drunk people in your
It
video,
is
camera.
okay. It is okay. I don't care. I will actually get to see your faces, right? So, yep. It is good to see your faces because I don't get to see. I just know you by your voice, but yes. I am so proud though. Both HLD and LLD courses went really well, much better than I expected. Like few months ago, I had no idea what I was going to do. I had left my full-time job and I had no idea if people will come and attend my courses. So I have no idea how hard I have worked. Every day, notes, preparing, quizzes, it feels like it's a 2-hour class, but then thinking how you're going to teach, thinking what examples you're going to take, there's a lot of effort that goes behind. No one else is turning on the video, kya?
Please wait a bit.
Okay. Any other questions? Anything anyone would like to ask or anything at all, like regarding the course LLD, any problem you're facing?
Yeah. The combo was really great.
Kirti, for DSA, what teaching strategy you are going to follow? Just like in LLD, you had code already written, and after you explained the things, you explained the code, right? So
in DSA, that will not be the case. In DSA, I'll be writing because see, LLD is different. Like there's so much of code and also there's C++ and Java. There I will write the pseudo code and I would have written like, I will write the pseudo code in front of you. I would probably write either C++ or Java for every single question and probably other one I will show. I will write one and I will show the other one because only syntax is going to be different, but every question I'm going to write there. And I'm going to give you, say, time in between to try writing it yourself also. After every question, I will give you, say, 5 minutes. You try it out. If you have any problem in the code, you can share it. That is how I did. So I did one recursion TP bootcamp. That is how I did over there. So similarly, I'll be doing it.
Okay.
Yep. I guess I shouldn't force everyone to turn on the videos, but thank you so much for those who did. I'm going to take a video. How was the course, guys? Happy last day. It's 12 a.m. All of you are up here. But thank you so much for attending. Cool. Okay, everyone go get good sleep and practice well. And if you have any questions, I am available. Jelly Bean is available. Any doubts, please review each other's code. Please keep practicing. Yes,
Can we see the jelly bean face?
Jelly Bean.
I'm sleeping, bro.
Kirti,
like
which platform would be most suitable to contact you? Like we can get the answers from you.
Discord, I will be
Discord, huh?
always available. Or mail, I'll always be available. LinkedIn and Insta, honestly, there are too many messages. I don't think I'll be able to check. And if you want to see Jelly Bean, follow me on Insta. There are a bunch of... Sorry?
Would it be possible to have a conversation like a kind of a meeting within a quarterly kind of, if the people is having
If you guys are interested, I would be more than happy to do it. But it is that you guys should be interested, and you all should say ki haan, we'll show up. If I conduct a meeting and there are like 4 people in the meeting, then you only saw na, ki how many people came till the last day of the course. So if you guys are interested, I would be more than happy to do it.
कीर्ति मैम, लाइक डीएसए में कितने क्वेश्चंस ठीक रहते हैं? लाइक 300 400 कितना प्रैक्टिस चाहिए? लाइक मतलब लास्ट में तो 2-3 क्वेश्चन ही पूछते हैं, लाइक कितना प्रैक्टिस चाहिए हर टॉपिक का?
It is not about the number of questions, it is about the topics. So
लाइक जैसे हम सुनते रहते हैं यूट्यूब में बताते हैं कि आप 20 से 30 कर लो कि आप कॉन्फिडेंस हो जाओगे पूरा.
बोलने की बात है. It is not like that. It is
नहीं,
not...
मींस वन टॉपिक है, जैसे लिंक लिस्ट का एक 30 क्वेश्चन कर लो या फिर एरेज का 50 ऐसे.
let's say that like आप जैसे कि 10 क्वेश्चन के लिए आपका जितना कॉन्फिडेंस आया, कोई बंदे को 30 क्वेश्चन करना पड़ रहा है वही सेम कॉन्फिडेंस लेवल के लिए, तो फिर दैट इज राइट. अगर आपको जैसे कि लिंक लिस्ट समझने के लिए आपको 10 क्वेश्चन काफी है, तो आप एक्स्ट्रा 20 क्वेश्चन करने से आपका ही टाइम बर्बाद है, isn't it? So you should not be going after the quantity. Like as soon as you understand how to solve a problem, like the fundamentals of it, just move on.
जैसे हम काम कर रहे हैं सबका ये मतलब बेसिक क्वेश्चन तो समझ आता ही है. आई मीन कितने टाइप्स क्वेश्चन होते हैं?
Everyone's grasping power is different.
Is
Everyone
different, yeah.
is like how quickly you're able to understand the concepts is different. And also topic wise, no, like graph is a harder topic. You would want more practice than say something like trees or something like binary search. Binary search, 20-30 questions, like more than enough, I would say. But for something like trees, graphs, I would say you would need more practice. So
also in one way, like you can think like somebody may know trees or somebody may know linked list very well, but if they are given a question based on that same topic, they might not be able to solve it. So that is also a factor. Yeah.
Yes, I do agree. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Anything? Or would you like to go sleep now? Okay. Again, I will always be available. Thank you so much. Have a very good time and hopefully see you again in next 1 month. Good night, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Kirti.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Please fill the feedback box, please.